Thanks for joining me again, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We got somebody who's inspired me a lot over the years. That's almost an understatement, but we have Simone Chamberlain on the podcast. Thanks for coming on, boss.
What's up? How are you?
I'm good, dude. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's awesome.
Dude.
I think the last time, well, not the last time, but you were my camper, man, like at Camp of Champs.
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite moments coaching camp was you being my camper.
Yeah, thanks for throwing me in there. I mean,
yeah,
I remember it. I actually wasn't your camper because when you're a camper, you remember all the details. Yeah. I just joined your
you just rode with us the whole time.
I was just like, Simone's here. I'm riding with that dude.
Yeah, I totally thought you were my camper, but no, my memory. Sorry, but that was tight.
No, it was amazing. And if you actually, dude, one time we were going up the T-bar. I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember me crying one time in the T-bar and we went up together?
I don't think so, no.
Nice.
Yeah. Why are you crying?
Oh my God. Well, I don't know.
Just stoked to be there.
Oh no, I'll just be honest.
Yeah, be honest.
So I had just moved to Whistler. I was only there for the summer. Yeah. And I had slept with a girl without a condom. And I thought that I was going to die because my mom is super Christian. And growing up, she said if I ever slept with anybody, I would get an STD and die. And I literally convinced myself that I was going to die. And I was in the chairlift line and you were there. And you're like, yo, you coming on the T-bar? And I was like, and I was in tears. I was so scared that I got so in my head that I was crying. And you're like, it's all good. And you're like, what's wrong? I was like, oh, family stuff. And you like the whole way up, you like, I don't know. It was to me, I was like, it was one of the funniest things ever to go up with like your hero and then be crying on the T-bar with them. It was pretty devastating.
Dude, you made it through though.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you don't remember it though.
Yeah,
that's like under the rug.
Yeah, no, I don't remember. Yeah, that's funny. Sweet.
So let's zip back a little further. Childhood.
Totally.
What was that like for you? You have brothers and stuff. Just touch base on like what was the childhood like for Simone?
Yeah, so I grew up in Ontario in like a small town called Lindsay. It's like an hour and a bit north of Toronto. And just my kind of humble beginnings. Like I got two brothers. I got a twin brother Andre and an older brother Matt. And I've got an older sister, Marilee. And we just grew up in this small town. Just skate rats and like that whole thing, like, you know, played hockey when we were kids, skated, and then do you want me to tell you like how I started snowboarding type of thing, or kind of like just childhood stuff? I don't know.
No, I like where you're flowing, dude.
All right.
I'll pause you for a second though.
Yeah.
Just do you mind like zipping your collar down? Just that I think it's hitting the microphone.
Totally.
I would hate for it to like agitate any audio. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, okay. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, totally. Give us a little bit of a little foundation. You know, just go with it.
I'm the youngest, right? So like I have like my brother Andre, my twin brother, is like 12 minutes older, so he always had that on me.
12 minutes.
Yeah. and then I have my older brother Matt, and he's like 3 years older, and like we kind of always like he set the bar, and then we always try to like do what he did type of thing, right? So he started skateboarding, and then we kind of followed doing that, and then we were like we were at some, like we always would go to like the skate shops in each town that we'd visit or whatever when we were kids, just that was like our thing. And we went to one skate shop. Snowboarding wasn't that popular then. I was like 9 years old, and we saw a board in the shop, and my older brother was like, I want to buy that thing. So he had all his money like saved. I think it was like $300 as a Kemper board. And it was like a big like purchase type of thing, because we were like, dang, like you're dropping like your whole wad on this Kemper board, you know? But we were stoked. So he bought that, and And then he started snowboarding that year, and we still skied because we just like at that time it was 90. I was born in 85, so that was like 1994. So like a lot of the ski resorts then, like snowboarding wasn't popular at all where I was from anyways. It was mostly just skiing. And there's actually like a couple of resorts where I grew up that you couldn't even snowboard. You weren't even allowed to. Like it was ski only type of thing. So
Dang.
yeah, so Matt got the board, and then we like fully just he like rode that thing and we skied. And then the next year my mom was like, you guys want to get a season's pass? Like we played hockey and stuff. She's like, I want you to choose like kind of one thing, like because like it's you guys are moving as like a unit, like three people. So like if you all want to like do the ski resort thing, like let's just get passes. Like that'll be your Christmas present, and then we'll just do that every weekend. But Andre and I didn't have boards, but my mom, like we rented for the day to like see if we liked it. And then she's like, yo, whatever money you have saved up, like I'll buy you these rental boards. They're just like, my first board was a Pyro Nitro board, a 145, like fully squared off nose and tail. It was super heavy, but like super rad. And I don't know, I rode it for a day and it was like a couple $100 to buy it off the rental dudes. And that's all I had saved up. So I gave that to my mom. And then that day I just like totally died, like trying snowboarding all day, like just the worst. Like my older brother already knew how to do it. And he's like, I'll give you a quick lesson, and like showed us like how to turn in like 10 seconds and was like, see you guys later, like you're on your own. So me and Andre like trying to figure out, we were just like dying. But then we got the hang of it, and then we were like hitting jumps like the third day and just having a blast, and then it kind of just went from there. So that was pretty rad. But that resort was like, it was weird because that resort was like 25 minutes from our house, and there was one like Devil's Elbow, and you couldn't snowboard then there, you could only ski. And then it was called the Snowboard Ranch, and you could actually snowboard and ski there. So it was pretty sweet.
And was Matt, your older brother, pretty dialed? Like, is he watching at one point, like magazines, videos, like kind of knew what was up with skateboarding and snowboarding? Is it just like a weekend warrior kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, at that point, it was like not yet, because it was like, well, we were watching skate videos, but we didn't even know there was snowboard videos when we started. We just did it, like not even at all. And then like I think it was like a couple years after, like my mom, like because we got kind of into it, so my mom and my dad got us like Snowboard Canada magazines, so we had that like in our stocking or whatever. And then we were like, oh, they actually make videos. And our first video was Young Brown Walsh.
What?
And like Kevin Young was like my favorite, because like I had like, he was probably my first like photo of a magazine on my wall was Kevin Young, like front rodeo 5, or I'm pretty sure that was it. And he was my favorite. And then
sick, dude.
Yeah,
got sick style.
Yeah, and then and I mean we all liked all those guys. And then we got like Decade, or like Simple Pleasures, and Decade kind of was after that. And like once we got Decade, it was over. Like that was like we like watched that video like every single day. Like it's funny, I remember totally watching that like every day before school, like 365, like every single day. And my dad would like come down before work and be like, you guys are like crazy, like something's wrong with you. And then like Technical Difficulties came out, and we watched Decade in the morning, and then come home from school and watch Technical Difficulties. And by like the second year, like Peter Lyon's part didn't even work, because it was like we rewinded it so many times, like just to watch it again, and it was just blurry. It was just like fully like it just didn't work. But like you're like down for the song and like whatever. But yeah, it was crazy, man. we were totally into it.
That's amazing, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, those videos that we'll get into a little bit later, because I don't want to skip through some important chapters, but that video for me was like probably Promo Copy and Video Gangs and like True Life. Those were the videos that I was like flipping through every day, like coming home. Because I think I was in grade 11 when Promo Copy came out, and it was like I was just on loop, like Video Gangs in the morning style, Promo Copy in the evening, and then before you go to bed, True Life. And
were you DVD or?
I got that.
VHS.
I had it on the DVD.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
My first video was Amp. Me and my friend Mike had it, and we just kind of split it back and forth. Like he had
Totally.
it some days, and then I had it some days. He's like,
Totally. Yeah.
"You done watching it for a bit?" And I was like, "Yeah." And
Yeah.
we would trade all the time. You know, I had like the Flip Sorry movie and the yellow VHS, and I would like
Yeah.
switch them out, and then he'd give me like the Toy Machine video or the
Yeah.
Zero, and then we would meet new friends, and then they would have like a sick video collection, and then
Dope.
you'd be like, "What? I've never seen this one. Can I have your like?" Can I have
Yeah.
Young Brown Walsh? Even though I never watched Young Brown Walsh a few years ago.
Yeah, for sure. So Amp, that's the one with Brian Thien as opener, right?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
When I think of Amp, I think of Jason Brown's part.
Right.
On that
Jason
like
Brown.
rainbow rail.
Yeah. And then
Riding
Chad
really good with the
Chad
framing.
Utterstrom had the ender too, didn't he? Or
Yeah,
something like that.
I believe he
remember
does.
Excuse me.
So we can skip into it because I feel like it's we're talking about the videos and stuff. First sponsorship. Did you throw together the promo code, like the DVD, or sorry, not the DVD, probably the VHS, and like a little note like, "Hey, my name's Simone." Like, how did your first sponsorship come together?
Yeah, so that one's kind of funny. There's kind of a backstory to that because like, so we were like snowboarding a ton and always filming and stuff. My dad worked at a like a college. He was a college professor for fish and wildlife and stuff. Cool. So like, yeah, so that was pretty cool. Like in the summer, that was like my summer and spring job. I'd like do like work at a fish farm and like clean fish tanks and all that type of stuff. It kind of like sucked, but now I look back,
washer.
Yeah, now I look back at him, like that was actually a pretty cool job. But anyways, so where was I going with this?
Yeah, the backstory to your sponsor.
Yeah. So we would snowboard all winter and stuff, and then we rode with a couple of guys that were a little bit older at the snowboard ranch that were from Peterborough, like a town close to us. And one guy's name was Brad Martin, and he was like, he was this like older and like just a ripper type of thing. Totally had like Kevin Young style, like he was dope, And then he was like, "Dude, I'm gonna move to Whistler. I heard you can snowboard in the summer there." And we are like, "No way, like you can snowboard in the summer? Like that's like every kid's dream, that's into it." So he went there and like lived there for the summer, and then he's like, "It's actually like sick. There's a whole park, like you can totally ride here. You guys should come visit me for a couple of weeks." But like we were stuck like working, like we're just like kids. Like I think I was like 14 at the time. And me and my older brother, like Matt, had like quite a bit of money saved up. Andre was always into snowboarding, but he was more like skater. Like he always like skated more and was more into skating, but he could ride and like be totally do good stuff. But he always had actually really good style. But so he hit us up and was like, "Dude, you guys should come to Whistler for a couple of weeks." And we kind of like looked and we're like, "We could totally do it. Like, let's just like, we have all of this money saved up. Like we didn't like spend on anything." And I never like went on an airplane at this point, like at all. Like my parents, whenever we did vacations, we go to Quebec because that's where my mom was from. And we just didn't like, kind of a bigger family, didn't have a lot of money. So we just never like went flying anywhere, vacations type of thing. So my mom's like, "If you want to go to Whistler, you got to go with your older brother. And like, you can go for 2 weeks, but you got to pay for it pretty much." So like, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, all right. So then like, we freaking like, I can't remember. It was like $500 for their return ticket. And like, however much you had to get for like a pass. Like we all worked it out and we all had like enough money. So my brother and I hopped on a plane, first plane ride ever, land in Vancouver. And we get there and like,
now what do we do, Matt?
Yeah, we're like, "What do we do?" And like we got our board bags, and then he's like, "We got a bus to Whistler." Like, and back then it was like you took like to get to the Greyhound, you didn't just like Greyhound from the airport. You hopped on city buses until you got to like Park Royal, and then you got on a Greyhound there. So we're like, we get on one Greyhound, we're like, or city bus, we're like, we don't know where we're going, but we see another snowboarder with a snowboard bag, and it was Johnny Fats. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Real
So
well, Johnny.
yeah, so
Yes.
he was like on the bus randomly, and we were like,
Legend. That's
yeah, we're
so
like,
sick.
are you going to Whistler? And he's like, yeah, dude, like, and my brother and I were like, can you show us how to get there? And he's like, yeah, totally, you go on this bus, and like fully just showed us the ropes, and then we got on to the Greyhound and got to Whistler. And then there we like, this is where I think I was telling you about my dad working at the college. Like we'd always like borrow like camcorders and stuff because they had like an editing program there. So we
No.
borrowed like a full like camcorder to film each other, and we like totally made like a summer little like video part and just like hiked all the jumps, hit all the rails, did all that type of thing. And that's probably like the most filming we did. And it was like kind of cool because my brother and I were like the only ones out of our friend group that like went out west to actually like try that, like actually like get footage or like even to like ride Whistler or whatever. So we came back and like had this whole like editing thing, and then like the unveiling of like the video footage that we got type of thing. And then once we had some of that footage, then we kind of like sent it out to like some reps and stuff just to see if we could get sponsored. But I don't think I got anything from that. It was more just like this shop in my hometown that kind of already hooked me up, was Breeze Skate Shop, and they fully like hooked me up with like deals on like option stuff and like outerwear and all that type of stuff. So it was pretty sweet. And then the option, the rep kind of like was like, I'll start kind of like hooking you up with like whatever, what is it called when you get like the board for, yeah, not flow, it was more like you can pay for your deck.
Oh
like
yeah, the discount. Yeah, what's that one called again? That one sucks.
Yeah, it was like the I don't know, pro deal or something like that.
Yeah, you get like you get like it at cost basically or something.
Yeah, but then it ended up being cool. It was Mark Strang. He was a dope rep, and he ended up hooking it up after like just a little bit. I think I bought kind of one board that year, and then after that it was kind of game on. So that was pretty cool. But that was my first sponsor, like Breeze Skate Shop, and then Option.
Did you get on Mission 6 after Option though? Because I swear, did you ride for a minute?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but that was kind of later. Like that was like after I was on Stepchild, actually, that I got on Mission 6.
No way.
Yeah,
Stepchild came first. I didn't know that because you were like the original. Like there's Stepchild that everybody knows, and then there's the original Stepchild crew that's like you and Braden and Johnson. I think it's just you three, right?
So it was us three, and then and then McClatchy kind of came on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and then Brian.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Let's touch base on that because
you want to hear that story? Okay.
Stepchild's like the biggest thing ever.
So
yeah.
So I have to say so then like, because that's kind of early. I was only 14 at that point, like with the whole Option thing, right? Like doing that whole like video. And then the next summer I was like, I'm gonna go for the whole summer, like 2 months type of thing. So I'm saving everything, like, and I'm gonna do this.
Cleaning these fish tanks and I'm going there.
And that's all I thought about, like all year. I was just like, I'm cleaning fish tanks, I'm doing this. And like as soon as freaking like the year for, I think I even know, you know what I did is me and my buddy Fraser went out like 2 weeks before even high school was over. It was like right when the glaciers started, and we were like, we're doing our exams at the high school there. Like,
no way, you and Fraser Avey?
Yeah, dude, because I grew up with Fraser, right? Or like we're not in the same town, but we grew up in like an hour away from each other. And my mom used to like, we met at some camp, and then we like had same interests or whatever, and then just like kept in touch. And my mom would like drive halfway, his mom would drive halfway, and then whoever house we'd go to, we just like go hang out for the weekend and like skate or snowboard or whatever type of thing. So we've been tight since like we were like 13. But so that year Fraser and I were like, let's try to go and do our exams, and like and like somehow like the school was okay with it, and we like moved to Whistler, did our exams, and then just shredded all year. And I don't think I did very good, but anyways, it didn't matter. I was like snowboarding type of thing. And we just like same thing. We filmed like snuck into camp of champs all the time, like tried to like, pay Bannock to hit like the coach killer jump, like all those type of things. And like, yeah, and we rode pipe a lot because pipe was like the only way you could get noticed in Ontario. So we'd like obviously we'd ride rails, but like pipe was like the way to get kind of your
dude, you always,
stats
your
up.
early seasons, or sorry, not your earlier parts, you always had like a few
Mhm.
pipe shots. Like I was actually always surprised almost. I'd be like, rail, jump, and then there'd just be a pipe shot that was like legit. And I'd be like, damn.
Yeah. Well, it's just because in Ontario, that was the only way. Like, and then so we rode pipe and then like and rode like rails obviously a ton, but yeah. And then that year, like I think like I met Sansalone and he kind of like hooked it up where he would like, I think it was Skids 2 or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
And he's like, do you want to do a few shots in that video type of thing? And I got into, I remember totally like asking Bannock, like going in and being like, hey, can I hit the jump? Like, here's $20. Like I was totally like, it's like, yeah, totally. Yeah, like totally. Cause that's what yeah, and like that's what all the dudes would tell us. Like they're like, dude, Bannock's the head coach. Like you got to go pay him $20. And like later on when I was working at Camp Champs, I was like, that would never like. I know that they were just bull crapping, like bullshitting me because like that is not like the way it goes down, But totally. Well, respect, the kid's got to pay his due.
Yeah, no, I'm down.
And then I hit that jump. I got a couple of shots with like Sansalone gave me his board to get shots on it with his board type of thing.
No way.
Let me use his
genius. He's such a good businessman.
Yeah, totally. But he's like, yeah, use my board for the summer. You can get like a few shots on it. So I got a few shots on it, and then I had to give it back to him so then he could sell it, But yeah, it was tight. It was so funny. And then so I was kind of like the kind of up and coming with Option, because he was like, are you gonna actually move out here and like try to make a go with it? And I was like, yeah, like when I'm done high school, I'm coming out for sure. And then he was like, if you want to do like team challenge next year or whatever, like, and you come out here, like you can fully be like one of the AMs type of thing on Option. Like he kind of was like taking me under his wing, which I was super hyped on. And it got me like a couple shots in the magazines. I think I got like a trick tip for Snowboard Canada, and like him and Mikey HK like really like helped me out with that type of stuff, like getting me exposure in the beginning, which was awesome, man.
That's super cool. That's a sick plug. I like the HK too. That's dope.
Yeah, and HK was like, I was just riding Mount St. Louis Moonstone like in Ontario, and he was just there like over Christmas or something like that, and then he just kind of introduced himself, and then like the next day he was like, yo, there's a photographer buddy of mine, come shoot a photo. And then we shot at 270 trick tip, and then it was that was like one of my first shots in a magazine, so that was cool.
Dang. Which is always monumental.
Yeah, it was sweet. And then but yeah, so then the Stepchild thing, so like I think it was after that summer, and I was like, what was I 16, like no, yeah, I just turned 17. I was pretty young. And it was like the fall, like just going to high school. And then like my mom, like the phone rings, like there's no cell phones, obviously, it's just like home landline. She calls and she's like, there's a guy on the phone for you, and his name's Sean Johnson. And I'm like, really? Like, you're lying, like there's no way type of thing. Like I knew who Sean Johnson was because like magazines and stuff, but never met him. So I answered, and then he's like, hey, I like your style or whatever, and I really want you to ride for Stepchild. I started this company called Stepchild, and there's just me and Graydon on it right now. And I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, and then he's kind of like, I'll offer you some money. Like, I'll give you like a full contract. And like, I heard you're moving out here type of thing. And you can, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like I had a good thing going with Option, and I knew they were going to take me to like the team challenge type of thing.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to like burn that bridge, but I was like, I'm going to think about it. Cause like, but I knew I wanted to, but like, I didn't know, I was a kid, and then,
can't give away your plan right off the bat. You got to
act. Yeah. I don't know. It was a weird, I've never been in that situation, And
Do you
then
know what that would have, what, just out of curiosity, did he, what's that first contract that he proposed to you? Like, what was like, we'll give
yeah,
you 300 bucks a
I'll
month?
tell. Yeah, totally. So he was like, I'll pay you $500 a month, and I was like, damn,
No
for
more
me
fish
that,
tanks.
yeah, for me that was like a dope. And then he's like, I'll give you unlimited boards and all that stuff. And at that point, I was getting like 2 boards or a board a year type of thing. Like it was pretty like nothing, And then he's like, oh yeah, well, we're doing team challenge. We're doing like, you'll get a travel budget and like all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty rad, So I remember at the time I was kind of getting tight with like Mark Strang and like the option rep and like a couple other guys. And I just asked people advice, like, what do you think I should do? And I think I did call Kevin. Kevin was like, I'm kind of bummed. Like I'd be just stoked if you did the option thing, but it's like, it's just kind of a business thing. But Mark Strang, I remember him telling me like, with option, you're going to be a small fish in a big pond. And then with Johnson, you're going to be a big fish in a small pond. So like, you're going to just get more attention. And like, who knows, like Sean has a lot of connections. Like it could like, so he fully like vouched for me to do the Stepchild thing. And he was like fully working for option, which is pretty rad for him. Like pretty cool. Like that, that he did that. And so I was like, damn, let's do the Stepchild thing, So yeah, did that. And like for me that was cool because like I moved out to Whistler. I was like, it was $300 a month for rent when I moved there. I just like shared a room with Fraser and a good buddy of mine, Mike Groot, that lives in Whistler. It was us 3 in the same room, and it was like $300 a month, and then it was like $50 for my bus pass to get to the mountain, and then 150 for food for the month. a lot of KD. So that was it, dude. Like I lived off that for like
$500 you're living off.
Yeah, I did that until like the summer or whatever. But a lot of things happened from like when I moved out in February, because I didn't actually finish high school before I moved out. Because I signed that contract, and then I was kind of like, Mom, Dad, I gotta move to Whistler because I'm a pro shred now. Like, like I just I wanted to start the career, And I was like, I can finish. I only had 3 classes left for high school. And I was like, I'll finish high school. Like, I promise. I'll just do it online. And like at that point, the school was like, yeah, you can totally do it online. It's just self-paced and like try to do it when you can. And then I totally did that. And Sean wanted me to do like some of those springtime travel things to like California and stuff like that. So my mom was like, all right, cool. Like, I don't think she was pretty
supportive
like
parents. I love it.
Yeah, they were supportive. I think they were kind of freaked out, like to like let me go at that age. Like, which like for me, I think if my kid, if he's gonna like leave the house at 17, I'm gonna be pretty like, that's pretty heavy,
I like that Johnson has this reputation in snowboarding of stealing young kids and bringing them to Whistler, because he did the same thing with Duffy.
Yeah, totally.
He's like,
and
yo, you're sick, you're moving to Whistler.
Yeah,
I'm filming you.
And the sweet thing about him is like he's so good with like chatting to parents, because like my parents love him. They still do. Like my dad talks to him all the time. Like they just like just have a good, he's just tight. Like he just knows how to how to talk to him,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was rad. So then I did the move. It was in February and fully just moved to Whistler, like straight up. First winter there. It's crazy.
And would that have been the same year where you got the invite or got the invite to the Jib Fest?
Yeah, it was. So this is what's crazy is like my career kind of happened so fast. Like, some guys it takes like a while, but for me it was like I didn't even expect it. It just like kind of blew up like really young. You know what I mean?
We just had Rusty on the podcast and he said it took him 7 or 8 years. He's like, I was like, kids these days, they're getting nothing really. And he's like, yeah, dude, like I think I filmed 8 years of video parts before I started getting paid.
Yeah.
I was like,
totally.
damn.
Yeah. That's heavy. And yeah, like I was fully like ready for that. You know what I mean? Like I was like, it's cool. Like my goal this year, like I was filming for the Skids 3 or something like that. And I was like, I'll just film for that and then like see where that goes, but I would just wanted to be in Whistler and like just be out there and living the dream, you know.
Totally.
But then Johnson was like, this is kind of a funny story because I didn't really meet that many pro snowboarders before that, just like Sansalone and like Duffy once and stuff. But then Sean was filming video gangs that year, and I moved out, and he's like, I really want to meet you. I'm gonna be in Whistler like this date or whatever. Can I take you out for dinner? And I was like, sure. And so he's like, before I take you for dinner though, I want you to like write down all your goals in snowboarding, like not just this year, like your whole career type of thing. So I was like, all right. So I just like hand wrote on this piece of paper, like everything, man, like checkout and transroll interview, like some video part, last part, whatever, like just the whole list, like what you kind of want to do, you know, like your goals type of thing. And then, you know, like Nixon Jib Fest was on there, like all that stuff. So I got this piece of paper folded, put in my pocket, and then like Sean pulls up to where I'm living, and he's like, hey, we're gonna go for dinner first. And with a couple of the guys I've been filming, and I'm like, all right, cool. So he's like, we're going to sushi. And I was like, oh, sweet. I've never had sushi in my life. Cause like from like, you know, like you probably didn't have sushi.
Same thing, dude. First time I had sushi was at Sushi Village.
Yeah. So, well, we didn't go to Sushi Village. We went to the one in Creekside. I don't know if it's still there, but it was the nice fancy one. But anyway, so we roll up and we get to the table, and there's Kevin Jones, Peter Line, Andreas Wig, and Johnson, and me. And that was like my first like I'm like, dude, I watched these guys in the X Games and like all these videos, like for like I was just blown away, you know. And Sean's like, hey, yeah. So like I meet the guys, I'm like just super nervous. And then he's like, so what you do when you eat sushi for the first time is you like grab that green like ball that's on your plate and then just like put that under your tongue for a minute just to like clean your palate. And I'm like, all right, cool. So like he was talking about the wasabi. no idea, right? So I grab it like right in front of all those dudes, like my freaking heroes, you know, put it under my tongue, and my face is like I just spit all over the plate. Like what they're just like dying laughing. And I'm like, that was a great like introduction. Like, thanks, Johnson. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that was like my introduction to meeting those guys. That was funny. But then he like after that, he's like, yo, let's go to Splitsburger and let's like just have a talk about like your goals and stuff. So we go down through the list. He's like, yeah, I think this is possible. And then he's like, oh, the Nixon Jib Fest, like you should just make a video of what you have so far in the year. And we'll like, I kind of know JP a little bit, and I'll just send him the video and we'll see if he can get you in like this year. And I was like, dude, this is a goal of mine, like down the line. Like, I don't know if I'll ever get in like this year, but let's do it, whatever, you know? So it's funny, I'm telling you this because I wrote this letter to JP, like, you've been a huge influence, like favorite snowboarder, like here's a videotape, like whatever, just, you know, Nixon Jib Fest is like, you know, my goal in life type of thing. And it's funny because this week JP was like cleaning out some of his stuff at his house, and he took a photo of that letter and he kept it. He still has the tape and the letter, and like fully sent me a photo of it. So that was pretty rad. But so
no way.
Yeah. So I went to Samson's the next day, and he had all the editing stuff, like sat down and we edited a video part and sent it off in the mail, like full VHS with the letter. And then Johnson called me like, it was like a couple weeks later, and he's like, dude, because the way they did it is Dave Downing, Jeremy Jones, and JP, they all voted like the 13 like best jib dudes in the world, and like those guys got invited to go type of thing for every year.
Yeah, not somebody who has 2 clips and skids.
Yeah, exactly. and like my video part like that I sent him, I don't even think it was that like good. Like I had like I had a bunch of park rails. Like I remember having a backside rodeo in there. Like it was like, it wasn't just like rails. I just kind of sent them whatever I had. And I was like, I don't think this is gonna cut it. Like these guys are all hitting crazy, whatever stuff. So then Johnson calls me, he's like, yeah, man, like I heard back from JP, and he's like, you know, your kid's good, like, but yeah, like we did it, like I voted for him, but like he didn't get in. So like, sorry, but like maybe next year or whatever, like, like we'll just keep in touch. And I was like, dude, whatever. Like he actually saw
Yeah,
my
you're not bummed at all. You're like,
yeah. I'm like,
mellow.
he saw my footage. Like it's all
Yeah,
good. You
sick.
know what
He
I mean?
knows my
Like that's
name
good.
now. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just shredding Whistler every day. Like park and everything. And then like one morning I'm living with Fraser, and one morning I'm like in the shower and like hear a knock on the door, like boom, boom, boom. He's like, Smo, you gotta get out. Johnson's on the phone. I'm like, dude, I'm in the shower. So I like get out my wet towel, like fully around my waist. I'm like, hello, because like it's just like the home phone, right? Johnson's like, dude, someone got hurt and that was going to the Jib Fest. I think it was Otterstorm or something like that. Someone hurt his back or something like that and like couldn't make it. So like pack your bags because you're leaving in like 2 days. Like you're going, like, because JP just called me and was like, yeah, someone's hurt, like send your boy down. And so like me and Fraser like jumping in the living room, like I'm naked with my towel, like just jumping, like so hyped, like we're both just like over the moon type of thing. And I was like, dang, like I'm actually like going to this thing. And yeah, like I was only 17, and like at that point the border was kind of like pretty like strict, so I had to get like a chaperone. So like Mike Pregnell, like it was Johnson's buddy, like flew me down, and he fully like drove me to the Jib Fest, and like just like super random.
He was my grenade team manager back in the day.
Oh, he was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. He actually lives in Courtney, like in Comox, actually. So sick. I see him all the time. Yeah,
he's a great guy.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So then like 2 days, I went to the Jib Fest, and like that was crazy. Like I was just a kid. Like I watched these dudes every day. Like the only guy I kind of knew was Duffy, but I remember like riding the lift by myself like the first day, like a couple times, because like I don't know like what to say to these guys, and I was like, I'm just gonna like shred. Like I don't like, what do you do, right? You just,
and a lot of those guys are like tight homies, you know what I mean? Like they have been doing this shit. Like the Jib Fest crew is like a crew.
Yeah. And they're like at the end of their filming like season, so they're probably just like, I'm warming up to this thing, like whatever, and I'm just like, oh, this is the best freaking like course I've ever seen. Like I'm just going like off the bat, probably just like trying everything. I don't even think I like stopped to eat lunch. Like I was like, this is the best park I've ever ridden in my life, you know? And how they did it was like, it's a 3-day event. You just ride every day. Mac Dog's there filming, like you're just filming, you're just hitting everything together. And I just rode like as hard as I could. No, I didn't even think I was gonna win or anything. Like Duffy did some pretty crazy stuff, and a lot of dudes were like just ripping.
Yeah, the lineup was insane. Like
Justin Hebel's there. Yeah, like all those guys.
crazy,
Yeah. And there was like that year, that was like the Jeremy year where he just came off a shakedown, like JP shakedown. Like those guys were like on fire, you know what I mean?
Jeremy just did his switchback 450 on
yeah. So I like, and they were doing 6. So I was like, dude, I was just like, I can't believe I'm riding with these dudes, you know? And then the votes came out at the end, and they like voted for me to win, and it was like crazy, man. Like it was wild.
Do you recall that feeling at all? Because I'm imagining that's like winning like an Oscar.
yeah. Like I think I was like fully like full holding back tears, because I didn't even like, I was just like, this is like, it was like an outer body experience. Like I was like, this is crazy, man. Like I was just so young, like a kid that like, I don't know how I even got like to that point. Like I'm this kid from like Lindsay, Ontario, like, you know what I mean? Like you just,
and like you said, it didn't happen like slowly, which so the whole time you kind of are like work up to this goal, and then it happens. It's like a year ago you're filming with Matt, and then like, you know what I mean? And you're just totally. Like I bought an option board for $200 and
totally.
the Jib Fest. Like
so it was
event in snowboarding.
It was wild, man. It was super wild.
And was it like, when you won, did you feel like was it a good energy? Was like the crew all supportive and like people were hyped, or was it like
Totally.
people were there to win and it was like the new kid shouldn't have won and stuff? Or is it like,
No, like because everyone votes like that. How you win, like how anyone wins is like there's no judges. It's just everyone puts a name down on who you think did the best and who do you think did the best
sick?
trick. So like I think I voted for Jeremy, and then I voted Duffy for best trick because he did that back
Did you
he
vote for
switched notes
yourself for
back.
like second or third?
No, not at all. I think it was like Jeremy and Seth and Duffy. I think those are the three I voted for or something like that. I don't know. Like all those guys, like just so many people on fire. You know, you just vote for who you thought did awesome, and that was it. So it's obviously a good vibe because everyone's kind of like backing each other, you know. So
And that like that win, that W, that is like, I imagine was that one of the most monumental things in your career? Like looking back, like that seems like a pretty, not only a big turning point, but like, man, to win that at that age, like,
yeah, totally.
wow.
And then like, and even like just filming, like, because MacDog did that game show video out of it, and then like having that ender part, which was like, that was pretty insane too. Just because I didn't even expect that to come out. I didn't know, you know. And then I remember Graydon was like, dude, like MacDog's doing a contest video and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, rad. And then he's like, the Jib Fest is the last section and you have the last, like he watched it before I did. And you know, I was blown away because
that's a sick, like if you're a really
know?
big core snowboarder back then, because
Yeah.
if you only liked like the heavy hitter, like you were saying, shakedown and stuff, game show was a little bit more of like, you know, lots of park riding, lots of AMs.
Yeah.
I mean, McClatchy has some clips in there. He's got the sickest
Right.
line, like cab
Yeah.
270, 270 to the gap 450, 270. Like
Yeah,
that
totally.
Brian clip was so sick.
That was a Kirk film or follow cam,
No
right?
way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it
I think that
was.
was, yeah, I think that was on our Warren trip. But yeah, exactly. Pretty crazy. But just to be a part of like a video, like obviously I knew that, you know, it's like a park video, but still it's something, you know, at that age.
Opens the box for the next video that you're in, promo copy.
Yeah,
Which like
totally.
let's dive into that. I mean,
Excuse
for
me.
me personally, maybe that was one of the most important video parts to me. I think that shaped my snowboarding maybe more than any other video part.
Yeah.
And my whole crew, you know, at that point, you know, I had some Hesh friends that were super into like, you know, Mikey LeBlanc and Scotty Whitlake and Daryl Mathis. And I also had like the whole gangster side.
Mm-hmm.
But when your part came out, all of my friends stole a piece of your snowboarding from promo copy, whether it was like the beanie, the reservoir beanies that you were wearing, or the stripe, or like the goggle sag, like the white dragons or whatever. Like everybody was like, this guy is the shit. Like
That's
Jake
funny.
Johnson's a genius, dude. He saw
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah,
promo
no,
copy, what was that like?
that was, yeah, like that was totally like Sean like was done like video gangs, and he's like, I don't know what to do, but he's like, I want to start my own production company and do like videos, and I want like you guys to have parts like the Stepchild guys. And yeah, he just was like, you down to film? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was pretty heavy because like Eddie Wall was in there, and like some like pretty heavy hitters, the Yanni Malmi, like all those Finnish
Travis
guys.
Kennedy,
Yeah.
everybody.
All those guys are so gnarly. And I just remember being like, I was hyped, but I was pretty nervous because like I was comfortable in the park, you know, and like rails, I did some handrails, but like 40 stair rails, 30 stair rails were pretty like beast at that point. I only did a few, you know, but I knew that going into that video, I was like, all right, I'm gonna be hitting some big stuff. So yeah, it was just like one of those things where you just kind of gotta like buckle up and just go with it, you know what I mean? And I remember like, yeah, no, I was just blown away all year. Like I went to Finland for the first time. That was like my first trip to Europe, and like we filmed, you know, like first year filming jet lagged and like all that.
And you're
stuff.
going with like Eddie Wall.
Yeah, yeah, totally, yeah. And I was still doing contests too, because I did like the Hard Rock Rail Jam that year and stuff too. Like, and that was like a pretty big moment as well. Like
Oh,
after the Jib
dude,
Fest.
front 360 nose press off the toes, 180.
No, that was
That
the
the
year
year after?
after. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the year was when I was doing like the nollie backflip pretzel. I did
Oh,
that in the
well, let's.
contest.
Well, you did that in the contest, but that we can't. Now that you brought that trick up,
Yeah.
was the backlip pretzel your favorite trick that you filmed in that part, or the over 270?
Probably the hard, like, yeah, the hard way over 270 for sure.
I had that sequence
Yeah.
in my locker, glued
Yeah.
to the locker. I was like, that
Sweet.
was like that. It was a DC ad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I remember looking at in my high school. I like flipping through the mags, and you're like, stupid, oh, sick, like photo, and then that popped up, and I was like, this is the sickest sequence ever. Who shot
Yeah.
that sequence?
Ollie Gagnon.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. And he was like fully on top of a van. Like it was pretty rad. But I mean, I do like the nollie backlit pretzel too. I was gonna put the one that I did in the contest too, because I think I did it better in the contest.
The
But
one you do on, I've been to that rail.
yeah,
High, a tight staircase. That
yeah,
that was insane to me. Like
yeah,
that, the over 270 at that point in snowboarding, I feel like got more hype. But I
yeah,
think as far as a trick that has longevity to somebody who's touches steel for a long time, the nollie backlit pretzel, especially if you've been to that rail with the fence on the right hand side,
yeah,
I think that that's a standout clip. If somebody like, Jed filmed that this year, you know what I mean? That's just like an
yeah, for
iconic
sure.
clip to me. And the
Oh,
front
thanks.
seven nose grab off the toes,
Oh
which is
yeah.
like nobody was filming that trick back then, you know? Nick
Yeah,
Maiden does them all the time now. I don't even know if you've been following that dude, but he does front seven off the nose all the time. Front seven nose grab off the toes. And every time he does it,
fun trick.
I'm like, damn, that reminds me of Simone's and promo copies. So
Sweet. That's tight.
yeah, dude.
I got a funny story with the nollie backlit pretzel because that year, uh, and back to Mission 6, because I was riding for Mission 6 that year, early season. Like I kind of got on for a bit, and then they like I did a catalog shoot in Mammoth, and I went out there and I was working on that one in Whistler, like the nollie back lips, like I was doing them a bunch, like I did in at the Jib Fest and all that. And then I was like, man, I could pretzel out of this for sure. And I was like, I learned them in Whistler in the park. And then I got to Mammoth and like Bradshaw was there. That was the first time I met Bradshaw. He was on Mission 6
I
and
remember that.
we're riding the park together. And I'm like, yo, I just learned this new trick. Like I'll like checked it out type of thing and like dropped in front of him and did an ollie backlit pretzel on the down rail in Mammoth. Like, and then he was like, yo, I've never seen that before. Like that's pretty rad, you know? And then then I wanted to get one on film type of thing because I was all juiced on it. So that was pretty funny. So
Oh,
I got Bradshaw's validation or whatever. Like,
yeah. What
funny.
was it like meeting Bradshaw? I mean, Chris seems like he's like, from you, more of a Christian mellow background to Bradshaw, who seems like a pretty like, loving smoking dope and stuff. Was that like a
Yeah,
pretty, jumping in with the Mission 6 crew? Is that all?
it was cool, man. Like I've always had a great like time with Bradshaw. He's like not one like mean bone in his body, you know. I
No,
think that at that point, I think he just had his like his girl, like his first baby, you know. So he's in like dad mode, and he would just like wake up super early and hit the hot tub, and yeah, he was chill,
sick.
man. Like yeah,
I'm a huge
whatever.
Bradshaw fan too.
Yeah,
So
for sure. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, man. So yeah,
okay, so
where were we at? Promo coffee?
we were flipping through promo copy, but I think that we can't go too far ahead of. Did promo copy? Did you film that on the Stepchild Air Jordan board?
No.
That board was such a sick graphic. I remember when
Yeah.
that graphic came out, like being like just looking at it in the circle. Maybe
Yeah.
Fraser was even working, I don't know, and just being like,
Probably.
I was like just staring at it. I was like, this is the nicest snowboard ever. And then Jeeves
Yeah.
got a float. Somebody from Stepchild gave Jeeves that board. And
Sweet.
Jeeves is wearing the full DC kit and he's
Nice.
riding your board
Yeah.
and huge fan of you. And then we went back to his place, me, Jeeves, Jake Kuzik, and Jeeves had just bought Mountain Lab.
Oh, nice.
And that was like the mind melter for us. We were like, okay, he went to Jib Fest, then he films Promo Copy, and now he's got the dopest section ever and the funnest. Like, if you were a young kid back in the day, Mountain Lab was like,
Yeah. Yeah. So that board was 2 years after Promo Copy, because I did um, the Mountain Lab and Derelictica
Derelictica.
with that green board. So that was the next
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, Mountain Lab. That was tight. Mountain Lab.
Is that a fun place?
Yeah, man. That was incredible. It was sweet. Yeah. I don't know. What do you want to know about it?
Yeah, dude, anything. What was it like the first time you got the call to go to Mountain Lab and you just see it? Like,
Yeah,
that's every kid's dream, other than going to
yeah.
Jib Fest.
Yeah, I was it was in like the fall actually. They were like I just kind of got on DC like that summer, like after Promo Copy, or like kind of during Promo Copy I got on DC. It was like in that spring type of thing. So they had the Mountain Lab, but I think when I got on it was like the snow melted and it wasn't, like you can ride it type of thing. So yeah, that the next fall they were like, we want to do like a team photo shoot with like you and Eddie and T Rice, Travis Parker, like all those dudes. So we're going to the Mountain Lab, and there was like no snow there, like hardly anything. Like it was just I think it snowed the one overnight like a tiny bit, and there was a picnic table, and we were like, let's sesh the picnic table, but it wasn't even like enough to. But we were there, so we just tried it, So that was my first kind of. I got to see the whole setup, not under snow, but like in dirt type of thing, and but we all hung out at the house and all had our own locker, and like the room was cool. Like there was like all these bunk beds in one room, and like Ken Block had his own room, but then there's like ping pong tables and just like anything fun that you want is there type of thing. Like video game. I wasn't a gamer, but video games and like, yeah, everything, man. Hot tub, like whatever, everything is sick.
And what are your brothers thinking about this at this point? You know what I mean? Like, you go from being like they're just brother who lives in Ontario who's just snowboarding to like at this point, within 2 years, you kind of turn into like a global superstar who's in all these movies, signing with DC at the Mountain Lab. What is Matt and Andre thinking? Like,
I think they were just hype. Like so many people are just like juiced, like I don't like. I think it was just so like it just kind of like you didn't think it would ever happen to like one of us. Like, and we had a good group of guys. Like we always snowboarded, skated, filmed together, and like we just like I think they were all just super hyped. I don't know. It's just funny. I don't know what they were thinking, man. That's something you might have to ask them. But
yeah, it's like, did Matt always want to be a pro, and did he feel like he didn't get his opportunity, or did like was it like is there any animosity from like an older brother? Or?
no, I don't think so. I feel like I remember like I think it was like when we were 14. Like it's funny to jump way back, but like we all kind of wanted to like we were pushing each other, right? And I remember Matt learned to backflip first, like on a snowboard, and that was like you gotta learn the backflip because we were all like hyped on doing backflips on trampolines and stuff. And then Peter Lyon always had those back rodeos in his parts. So we're like, we gotta learn that trick because he's winning like all these contests doing back rodeos and stuff. So Matt did learn the backflip, and then I was like, I can do that too. And then I kind of learned it pretty quick after him. And then he's like, okay, well, if you surpass me like by next year, and this is like when I was like 14 or whatever, he's like, you'll probably go like you'll probably like so because I was starting to do like back rodeo sevens at like 15 or whatever, and that's when like people were winning contests and like stuff like that with that trick, and then like I remember going to Whistler that one summer and when I filmed that video part, I did like a frontside 270 on the same rail that like Mike Page did a frontside 270 and resistance on, and like that was in his part. So I was like, all right, I'm like matching up to like kind of what they're doing. So that was like I was just kind of like trying to be on par with what they're doing. Obviously I wasn't, but in my mind I was like, I totally am. And then like And then like, oh, I did this one contest. This was actually like a pretty sick story. Just sorry to jump back, but
Oh, I love it.
it was at Blue Mountain, and it was like Coors Light Challenge, and it was like 16 and under contest. And I was like, I got to do this contest and there was a slope style contest, and it was the first one ever that I would do. It was all pipe contest, but then there's this one slope style contest, and I went with like Fraser, my homies, like my one good buddy, like Garrett, that I grew up with, and then like, yeah, just like our whole posse went, and we like entered the contest. But there was this one line where it was like the down rail and then like 2 jumps and then like another rail, or you could go with the down rail and then like skip everything and hit like the big booter, which was like a 50 or 60-foot jump. And like at the time it was pretty big, you know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, maybe it was smaller. I can't remember. It was big though, like bigger than what we normally hit. And then there was like a 40-foot rainbow rail after that was like 8 foot high in the middle. Like it was pretty big. And we were just like, dang, like that. And I was like, I want people to see what I'm up to, you know? So I'm in the 16 and under, but no one's hitting the big side. And I'm just like, I'm going for it, whatever. So I totally remember this run. I did a switch front board down the down rail, and then just bombed it to the big jump and fully. And I was doing like switchback 7s, like at that point, like that was kind of, and that was the time when like UC Oxen was doing like switchback 7, switchback 9, like winning
off to grab.
Yeah, and winning contests. So then I was like, I'm going for the switchback 9 and fully hit the big jump, switchback 9, landed it, and then front boarded the 40-foot rainbow rail. And I was like, I got this thing. Like fully was like, I like no one in my age group is hitting that. And I just did that line.
Let me guess, they didn't see because you went to the big side.
No, they saw it. But I got second. Brad Martin beat me. Yeah, he did like
young flow.
Yeah, he did like 2 5s and a lip slide down the rail. I totally remember his run, and everyone's like, how the heck did you not win that? But I think he knew the judge. It was like the whole like politics thing, and it was fine. Like I didn't care because I won a snowboard, and like my best friend Garrett at the time like broke his snowboard like that week, and he was riding like the worst board ever. And I was just like, dude, I just won this board. Here you go. Let's like keep riding type of thing. And it was like the sickest day, you know what I mean? So I didn't even like care, but I just love that story because I remember like all my buddies, we were all hyped that I landed a switchback 9 in the contest, you know. And then I always wanted to get one on film, but I never did. But yeah, anyway,
it's not too late, dude. It's not too late.
That's
everybody
true.
is waiting for another Simone part. No one.
Everyone's waiting, dude. Are you sure?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I am buckled up and ready. Let's go to Seymour. We'll bring Brockle. He'll film for sure.
Okay. I'll have to hit the gym for the summer and save my money, and freaking let's do that.
Yeah, well, dude, don't worry. I just bought some Bitcoin a long time ago. It should be worth billions at one point. Yeah, so I'm gonna fund this project.
There you go. Bitcoin. That's a whole nother combo.
I'm joking. It's not gonna be, I don't know what to do. I don't want to skip past we touched base on it briefly, but okay, so, and I know this is kind of repetitive. It's the story that's been told, but I just want to hear it from your words. Maybe dive into a little bit like the start of Nomis briefly.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
And then kind of how it transitioned like out. I just feel like the story is so skewed. People to this day, I swear, we've been in the backcountry a few times this year, and that story has come out. And I think a lot of people just want to know like what happened with it. So maybe just start a little bit from the beginning, and then
for sure. So when we were in high school, we started it. It was like we were just like those snowboard skate kids that like were buying stuff, and like it was pretty expensive, you know, like just t-shirts and stuff. So my older brother Matt was like, hey, let's like just like start a clothing thing and just get like t-shirts and like figure out a symbol and a name, and like, so like, you know, like just print them out and then just sell it to our buddies, like because you could buy a t-shirt for $5, get it silk screen, then $10 is your t-shirt, and then you could sell it for 20 and you're kind of making money. Or you could just give it to your homies for $10 and everyone's stoked type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what we were like, dude, we can do this. So then we were like, how do we come up with a symbol? So we're like looking at all the symbols out there. We're like, okay, there's Circa, there's Osiris, there's Forum, there's Option. Okay, like there's a bunch of circles, there's a bunch of squares, there's a bunch of triangles. It's kind of like just start making stuff like whatever. So we're in a McDonald's and my one buddy, like we're just drawing on napkins, and my one buddy drew the Nomis symbol. Mike Hassan, he's a good buddy of ours, drew the Nomis symbol on a napkin, and we were like, dude, that's it. Like that's the symbol. It meant nothing, just a symbol, like
just a McDonald's conversation that turned into the logo.
Exactly. And like at that point it was like we were kind of trying to figure out a name, and it was like my brothers, like it was our idea, like it was Andre and Matt and myself, and like our friends too, but like we were just trying to figure out a name, and like the dudes used to call me Nomis because that was my name backwards, and we were like, that's cool. And then we kind of like put all of our names backwards to see who like sounded the best, and it just ended up being like Nomis sounded the best out of all of them. And we're like, all right, that's it. So that's the company.
So that's our company.
Yeah, that's the name, and that's the symbol, and that's like roll with it type of thing. And we just went to the silk screen shop and like fully forked up like $100 or whatever, and got t-shirts and got some stuff made. And then we were just giving them out to our buddies or making them pay for it or whatever. And then we started like, we made sweatpants and like zip ups and like all that stuff. So we just did that for fun for like a couple of years, you know. And I went to the Jib Fest and I was wearing it at the Jib Fest. I remember Jeremy being like, what sweater is that, dude? And I was like, it's a Nomis sweater. Me and my brothers like started it, and he's like, that's sick, dude, that's sick. And then whatever. So I was just like, oh, these guys think it's cool. Like it could maybe
Jeremy Jones just told
me. Yeah, totally. I was like, this could maybe go somewhere. I don't know. Like, but at that point you're like, you can't make anything happen. You're just like a shred making $500 a month. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And then my brothers, and like some of my friends actually moved to Whistler at that same time I did. Like, or like that summer they all moved out. So like Matt was there. Andre ended up coming out, like Mike Hass, and like all those guys, like bunch of my high school buddies, we all just came to Whistler. So it was kind of cool because it was like I was filming and stuff, but I still had like my homies from back home, and it was like that support, and I came home and we just shredded. And yeah, and Matt worked at the grocery store in Whistler. The one that's in like the town, like the grocery store.
Grocery store.
Yeah. So Matt worked there, and then he worked with like his buddy Jeremy Osmond, which he became a designer later, and then so did Jordan Grace. They all worked there, and then I think Jordan ended up working at one of the clothing stores too, I guess, or something like that. And anyways, we were all like just a tight crew, but we were making those clothing. We kept like coming up with designs. We were like, I don't know how this is gonna like go. You know what I mean? Like we're just kids doing it. And Jeremy, our buddy at the grocery store, he's like, dude, one of my friends back in Newfoundland just won the lottery. Like no joke, like won like the jackpot, like lottery. And he's like into snowboarding. He might want to invest. Like he wants to invest in some things. So we're like, really?
Wow.
And we're like you never know somebody who wins the lottery type of thing, right? So he's coming out to Whistler like in a couple of weeks. Like let's get some samples out and like kind of like show him like what we got going on, and he might be like down to give us like a bit to like actually get something going. And this was like right when I kind of got on DC and stuff. So I had like the DC ring and like, like, I don't know. Yeah. And like my name was kind of like getting bigger in snowboarding, I guess. I don't know. But I just threw out the DC ring out there just because when I first met him, he wanted to see the ring. Cause like DC ring was like the thing, you
Oh,
know.
that's legit,
And he
dude.
like put it
Hell
on.
yeah.
He's like, this is nice, like this is tight. So it was almost like one of those like
It
schmoozing
helped.
with the guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
totally, dude.
I'm not really sure, but anyways, we had this little sample thing. Like we had a couple hoodies, couple tees, and we're like, do you want to like invest, like kind of just put some money in to make samples and like be able to do the trade show or whatever and like see if we can go somewhere with it. And he was totally down, like didn't give us like a ton, like gave us like enough to, you know, do that type of thing. And we were like, we fully had like, we're gonna pay you back and like do all that thing. We, you know, it was like fully legit. And yeah, he helped us out. We got the samples going and went to the trade show, and then like suddenly just got all these orders. We're like, now what do we do? Because
Do you
like
have a team at this point? Is like Jed, Larry, and Sollers on yet or not yet?
this is before, this is like not really, like it was just kind of our crew. Like I think at that point we were just spray painting Nomis symbols all over Whistler and like, you know, like just giving out hoodies or whatever type of thing, you know. I think like we had like a homie squad, you know, like Fraser would be on it and like
John Martin. Tell me, John.
well, he was still back in Ontario at that point, but he would have had the Novus gear for sure.
Sure, dude. John's
Yeah.
he's like he's been
Yeah.
repping since day one.
Totally. I went to high school with John Martin. It was tight, man. We used to
Bet.
skate together all the time. But yeah, so at that point, no one was on it. Real like no pro guys were on it yet. But then we got the samples made. Then we got all these orders, and we were like, all right, let's kind of like design some cool stuff. And it was like the first thing was like pretty small, like it was pretty basic or whatever. And then my brother was like, Matt was living in Squamish and was like, let's do an office in my basement suite. And like Jordan, Grace, and Jeremy would go there every day. And like those guys like learn how to design through just like
Having to, or your company fails.
pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Like they didn't take a course. Like it was pretty remarkable to like get to that point because they were just, you know, but they knew it was cool. We all kind of, yeah, and we all knew that what was like, you kind of know like how a snowboard company can work at that point. Like you're like, okay, I gotta have like advertising, gotta have a team, gotta have ads, gotta figure out a cool like clothing thing, and then it kind of works, you know what I mean? But you kind of gotta have that hype. And I think that in the end, our like the story was kind of the hype because it was like just a tight crew and it was like brothers and friends and we just did it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
came off really authentic and people like that.
yeah. But then like one day I remember I was with Jordan and Jeremy and we were kind of like designing, like we did the plaid and we fully like measured the lines. Like we're like, I want to do an all over print plaid hoodie. I think it'd be rad. And like we like measured the lines and like just made like something whatever out of her, like just pulled it out of her ass, like just like, oh, that looks sick, like cool. Yeah, okay, let's change the, like let's put like, you know, bright green and like navy blue and then like a brown on a beige sweater and then just try it. And then like we liked it and that was it, man. Like it just,
and you wore that one to the Hard Rock, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, I think so. I wore that like everywhere, man. But yeah, like and that was like our first plaid one. And then it just kind of like from there it just like skyrocketed. And
like what do you, when you say skyrocket, like do you mean like you're pushing like just for some more units? Like are you selling 200 hoodies at this point or like 100 and then it skyrockets to like 500? Or
no, it was like, dude, it was like we were growing like 1,000% at one point. Like it was like we like went to the trade show the one time and it was like, hey, you're like 500 grand in sales, and we're like, what? like like really? And like and then at that point you need to have the money to like make the production, right? And then like then you get all your stuff and then you make your money back type of thing. So we're like, we don't have that money, right? And like at that point, like that investor that came on was like, he wasn't really prepared to like drop down like a ton of money, but like he helped us out in the first few years. And I think he helped us out through that one, which was sweet. But then the year after, it was like million in sales, and then it was like freaking like 5 million in sales, and it just like jumped like way too quick, that where it's like you don't even like
And you guys, like, what are your parents thinking at this point?
I think they were
like,
just
Mom,
like,
there's 1 million in sales, and
yeah,
they're like,
yeah, I think that
cool.
they're like beside themselves, because like I don't know, I remember when my mom found out I won the Jib Fest, like she was obviously in tears, and like they were like, we didn't even know he was like that good, type of thing, you know, like they knew that I could ride and like do stuff, but they didn't know like the level of
Well,
it.
you didn't really have the curve that where it's like the son goes then he tries to go pro and fails, but then finally gets to go pro. It's like you went from being like guy for like a year to like rock star status in like 2.
Yeah, and there was
crazy.
And there's no like, it's not like other sports where it's like you're like amateur for a while, or I mean I guess it is, but back then it was like a lot of that happened to some people back then, right? Where it was just like boom, you're pro, and then you're traveling the world. But like
I would say that your career, it was like the fastest, in your face, and the most like it shaped like anyone who's over the age of like 28 to 35 was like, you had a massive impact on everyone's style and life in snowboarding.
I don't know.
Globally.
You're being kind. You're being kind. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. So yeah, it got crazy. The Nomis stuff got crazy.
Yeah. So okay, so it does go crazy. You know, let's keep going with the craziness. Like, are you and your brothers trying to kill each other? Is Matt holding it down? Or are you like like
no, like, you know what? Early day, like when I think in the Noma stuff, early days was like the best. Like it was like the funnest times. It was just so funny because it was all like our homies, you know. So it was like that for like it was stressful because we were like, and for me, like I kind of always told them, I was like, I gotta focus on my snowboarding. Like I'll promote the crap out of it as much as I can, and like give you design ideas when like it's time to do that. But like during the winter, I want to snowboard, you know.
Yeah, totally.
And they were cool with that. And so and when those guys worked so hard to just like get the best stuff and get the good gear out. But it was like, I think it was like 3 years of that from that one investor, and that one investor was like, okay, I'm out. It's getting too like expensive. And we're like, all right, cool, fair enough. And then but we were kind of stuck at that point because we were like, who do you trust? You know, like that's the hard part, because we didn't really, we knew the business, but we didn't know like business, like especially when you get to like big numbers of like, millions of dollars in sales. And it's not like we're making millions of dollars. It's like the company is doing the sale. You know what I mean? Like you don't know like what you're doing.
You guys don't know what you're doing, but is like, are you guys making decent money off of it at this point?
Yeah,
like I would hope so.
Yeah, but it wasn't like we were always like under control. Like it wasn't like none of us were making like $100,000 a year from it or anything like that. It was like it was like, okay, yeah, like you gotta have like make a living, but let's kind of like grow this thing, so like, long term type of thing. But it was growing too fast that it couldn't even, like, it was just hard to manage. But we got kind of involved with this one investment kind of company that in the beginning was kind of rad, but they like no, we still had the shares with them, but then it was kind of like a con artist, but we didn't know.
They were like a legit con artist?
Yeah, like the guy fully like got caught later on in life, and like fully like the Canadian government like hit us up, like, but he like fully managed our thing. But my brother like met him on the airplane, and he was like told him our story, but then we were like, dude, we just got like 3 million in sales and we don't know like where we're gonna get money. He's like, oh, I know people, I can help you out, and like fully helped us out. And then, but at the same time, it did help us because like I totally remember that moment where it was like, I don't know if I trust this guy, but like I don't know what our other options are. And like And we were like, at that point, we were like, we got to like keep our like marketing going, and like we got to make a video, because like that's kind of the next step type of thing. And Johnson was like, I want to do child support, but Stepchild doesn't have enough money. But like if Nomis and Stepchild teamed up, then maybe we could do it. So I remember I was like, hey Sean, like if you come with me to meet this guy and we pitch this idea, let's see if like he's down for it. And then that guy was like, oh yeah, totally. Like he had like no idea, but he was like, yeah, well, how much do you need? And he was totally just like, boom, boom, like let's just do it. And then like that guy's like, you guys got to get an office in Vancouver and like do all that stuff. And we totally did. And it was like rad, because it was still all of us like friends, right? Like, but we didn't really know what was really going on behind the scenes. We were like making the product and doing really well in sales, but like the money managing was like getting messy kind of thing, because it was just, we were just kids. Yeah, exactly. And then, but we were kind of like getting the handle on it, and then that dude fully like went down. Like I can't remember what happened. It was like something went up with the government, and we were like blown away, like we had no idea. And then he was gone, and we were just like, I think all of our accounts got frozen. Like we were just like, we're screwed pretty much. And then it was like right in the middle of this new season. And at that point it was like pretty heavy numbers. And then like the factories were like, what's going on? You guys got all these orders, and everything was like frozen. It was like kind of messed up, and we had to like act fast. So then we teamed up with this brand base. It was called a company called Brand Base, and they were a company in the States, and they had like Tech9 and then a couple other brands, and they came in and kind of like helped us out to get back. Like they kind of took it over, went with all the sales, Nomis, and then we just kind of exploded with them type of thing. But the problem with them is they were like, they stole all of our shares, so we didn't have any ownership at all. Like, and they kept telling us like, hey, like you guys are killing it. Like here's how much you're gonna own, like 10% each type of thing. Like, it was me and my brothers, like 10% each, and like once we get this going again, then we'll give you your shares and all that stuff. And then they just like ended up never giving us our shares, and kind of like went down from there. But yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. But then that wasn't even the end of it. That was like, so that all happened. I don't know. That was like, what year was that? Like around like when I was filming for Cheers, like that's kind of
2011, 2010.
Yeah,
maybe.
around there.
Or 2009, I think would have been, or 2010 maybe. Cheers.
Yeah, that was kind of like when Brand Base was kind of like done with it, and then another company took it over. It went through so many changes, man. It was crazy. But the times that we had like before all that, when it was all just like the homies, was like insane. Like just no experience will ever be able to like explain it. Like there's just such funny.
I witnessed it firsthand. I was like a little kid following you guys around outside the bubble. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You the first time, you probably don't remember this story either, but we were riding Camp of Champions, and I was trying tricks on the jumps, and Taneo was giving me boards, and Derek Dennison was up there, and your brother was up there, and Max Honiger and Solers and Jed and Joe, and it was the sickest vibes. And I remember you were like, yo, like you got me on Tech Night. You told Taneo like, hey, like you should hook this kid up. He's sick. So and then that was like one of my first brands that ever like really started like giving me product was through Taneo, was through you. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no worries, man.
No worries, dude. And you also gave me the dragon goggles you were wearing.
Tight.
You were on the hill, and I was like, and what, I don't remember if I didn't have goggles or something like that, and you just like gave me your goggles, and I was like, what? This is the sickest day ever.
that was my move, dude. I always gave my stuff away. Every year I just unload all my stuff. And I don't think I ever sold one thing actually, like personally. So it's just my move.
That's the giveaway is a solid move. We had one other story, which maybe you don't remember either. You drove me to McDonald's, and then you turned on the heat full. It was like 30 something degrees out, and you're like,
Sahara.
yeah, I always recall it as Desert Storm. You're like, have you ever played Desert Storm before?
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And you rolled up all the windows and turned the heat on full blast. And you're like, the first one to crack a window loses.
Yeah.
And then we went to McDonald's.
Nice. We used to do that and then like get really hot and then go jump in the water type of thing. We just crank the heat and there's like, just sweating or
except for we went to McDonald's.
Yeah, nice.
Instead of going for a swim.
What'd you get at McDonald's? Do you remember?
I don't remember what I got, but you got like 4 Big Macs.
Oh yeah. I can eat, man. You can take it down.
So looking back at the whole Nomis thing, I mean, do you feel like, obviously in hindsight, you could be like, oh, we should have done this or I should have done that, but do you have any regrets with it?
It's like, I think if I look back on it, I think that we just like grew too fast. Like it's almost like you got to like put a limit on something, you know, like where you can be like, hey, we're only going to sell this much, because it just gets out of hand. Like it just was like too much, you know. And we're like, but at that point you're like young and you're like, man, our company's growing. Like at one point I remember they did like a full like stat thing, and the guys were like, your company is like the fastest growing like brand in like the action sports industry right now. Like fully, like the growth of it was just that fast.
Oh, you go to Winnipeg in the summertime, I would go to a local cottage, and people who've never stepped on a snowboard, skateboard, or it got so big that you think like when in snowboarding, you think of like big brands that made it and then failed, like Grenade, you know what I mean? Started from brothers, this cool thing. It was really cool in snowboarding, and maybe some skateboarders bought it, but Nomis got so big that the people that were playing hockey and volleyball were just buying it because they just liked it and they thought it was cool. It was like buying a Burton sweater. You're just like, I snowboard once a year. I'm going to buy some Nomis stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you ever get to see the numbers of like how much it was selling? Did you ever see like, holy shit, we have $10 million in sales? Like,
yeah, totally. I saw it all year. I think our peak was like 20 million in sales, and like 80% of it was like my signature product.
Did you get commission?
Well, no, like I had a contract, like I did a contract thing, but I just capped out. But in hindsight, I should have not, because like I like it's so funny because now it's like so many people like, oh, like they'll hit me up on like my construction company Instagram and be like, I thought I didn't know you're doing this now. Like I thought you were like, you just living off of your Nomis type of thing. But like it's funny because I never made $1 million off of Nomis, like ever personally. Like nobody of my friends have or anything like that. I think my contract, like the most I made off of them was like 150 grand for like a couple of years, and that was pretty much it, you know.
Insane.
yeah, or like a few years of that.
It seems like you, Matt, and Andre should be swimming in a pool in like the south of France, feeding each other grapes.
Like Andre made the least, and like he was the team manager. He was making like 30 grand a year, like the whole time, and like it just, yeah, man. Like, and it wasn't like we controlled it. It was like the other people, you know. Like once the shares got taken over, it was just.
Did that ever? I know that you and your brothers and your family are all so close.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the tension in the brand was getting so big that it was disrupting your relationship with your family?
No, not at all. The hardest part was there was a moment when my older brother got fired from Nomis, which was heavy because he started the thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it was right before X Games. Like I filmed that part in X Games, and brand, like it was when brand base was the thing, and then brand base was like we made so much of the money for brand base, like for the Nomis did, like for that umbrella, and then they were like, they had to, I don't know, for some reason they sold it off to somebody else, and then those guys were like firing like all of our friends. So it kind of like got messy. Like a bunch of our friends got cut, and then it ended up being just me and Andre and Matt left over type of thing. So that was like a hard thing because we had no control over like what they were doing.
Wow.
But
Like, did you try to intervene and it just like, because it's
yeah,
legal,
like
you just can't?
yeah, and we're just like they're like sorry, like it's just not your like you're under contract, but it doesn't matter type of thing. And like yeah, it was like right before the X Games, and they fired my older brother, and I was just like, dude, like I didn't even want to ride. I didn't even want to like wear this stuff anymore because I was like, there's no like it just
There's no
wasn't.
soul.
Yeah,
Started with such a
and at
backing and passion and stuff.
yeah, and at that point it was like like I was like I didn't want people to think that like I fired him. Like, you know, like people things could get twisted, right? When there's
Yeah.
all these rumors and stuff, and I didn't know how to control it. And I remember, I don't know if you remember, but when I did the X Games, I was just wearing like a shirt and didn't even have Nomis on or anything. Like I was just like, just over it. And yeah, I think that point was just a weird point in my career where it was that one kind of stung, you know, like it was just
What kind of
tough.
effect did that have with your brother getting let go? What kind of effect did that have on your snowboarding? Like,
Um,
did it translate into you kind of getting in a shitty headspace? Cause you're like,
well, what year was that? I had a pretty good year that year, I think,
you
but
got bronze, you got that bronze too at,
yeah,
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 at X Games, and you,
and I there was that good look part, I think it
yeah,
was. And yeah, I mean, the second half of my season probably wasn't like as good as it could have been, but I think I always like with my personality, it's probably not healthy sometimes. I could just bottle things up, you know, like hard things. I would just shove it down and like just move on. But like, I don't know. I just tried to be, you know, I don't know how it was just a hard thing to react to. Like, I don't know how to say it. I just like, I knew like that once that happened that the company would be like pretty much done for, because I was like, my brother was the one that like got all the reps and like distributors. Like everyone's like, what, your brother's not there? Like he was the go-to guy to like talk to, like the guy in Norway, the distributor in Norway, rad dude, which is like, I don't even know if I can carry this brand anymore because like your brother was the guy, you know. And like he had the marketing brains, he had like it was a team effort, but he had a lot of the cool like heated hoodie was my older brother's idea, and like just things like that, you know. It's pretty much like Ken Block getting fired from DC. You're like, that just doesn't happen, you know what I mean? So I just knew, I was like, this company's probably going down now because like no one's gonna like, the only reason why maybe it was still kind of going for a couple more years was because I was still on it, but I was under contract and I couldn't really get out. So yeah,
oh,
it's pretty
what a,
wild.
yeah, what a wild ride that must have been. Cause I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, like it's so easy to be like, well, looking back, we should have done this and should have done that. I think the
Yeah.
best way, and like you've done, you've said, is just look back and go like, man, the good years were so good, and
Yeah.
hell yeah, like,
Yeah. And I don't want to sound like a downer because I mean, like, it was such a like an experience, and it's made everyone to who they are now. And like the guys that worked for Nomis and stuff, like my buddies, they all like ended up getting rad jobs and like they're killing it now. And like my brother's like everyone's happy, and like everyone had a great time, you know. And like it was just like a, no one would have that type of experience at that age type of thing. So yeah, it just, but it was unfortunate when it happened for sure. It was pretty hard.
yeah, I
So,
can
yeah.
only imagine those last few years, that you were really, motivated and out there filming. Um, you did a big stint before we get to riding with JP, just kind of full on with gibberish and stuff. You did the
Yeah.
JP, Joe, and Simone combo. What was it
Yeah.
like? And what that energy, I feel like whenever you guys came together, I mean, it translated in film, but I saw it live in the summertime. I think
Hmm.
that you just in general, you attract fun and positive people. Like when I see E-Man and you know what I mean, E-Man sees you, or Stathis, or that whole Stepchild, that
Yeah.
Stepchild team. I know that all the brands talk about how important it is to have like a family, a tight team. And I think
Totally, yeah.
Stepchild was one of the company what did it the best maybe out of any brand ever. It really was a family. Like you guys all cared about each other on a
For
lot
sure.
more of a deeper level than just like, I hope you get a clip today. Like you guys
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
So how was it like
Yeah,
filming with those guys?
we were tight. Amazing, man. Like I guess I started filming with Joe first, like for child support. And that was like he was just a kid, just like such a talented kid. And
That must have been wild to watch his career blossom.
yeah, amazing, man. And then we filmed for people like the Down with People after that, which was cool. But like he knew kind of like those other guys more than I did. So but just to watch him like grow and do that, like that video part was rad. And I think he hurt himself that year, but he still like crushed it. But then the year after was This Video Sucks, and that was like my first time being able to like ride with JP, like to film with JP type of thing. And that was like childhood dream type of thing. But Joe and I had like a good bond of filming together, and then it was just like we just latched on with JP, and it was just a tight crew at handrail spots. It was pretty awesome.
That addition must have been pretty cool when you heard JP's getting added to the team.
Yeah,
Were you
man.
like,
Yeah.
hell yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I remember that. Yeah, like because I was riding for 32 at the time, and then they're like, we're putting JP on 32. I was like, sick, like that's tight. And then he needs a board sponsor, and he hit Stepchild up, and they made it work. And it was, yeah, we were all over the moon for sure. It's crazy. I mean, that dude to me is like the Michael Jordan of snowboarding. Like I've said it a million times, like not only his rail never been done list that's like bigger than I don't know, just insane, but his jump list is insane too. Like
He's a
like
god. We talk about
like
his backcountry stuff all the time
dude,
when we're out filming. Like he has
yeah,
a switchback 3 that's like one of the biggest ones ever done.
yeah. And then like the Lucas Huffman like cab 9, the back
Back
10
10
8,
tail.
back 10 tail, and it's just like the list goes on. You're like, when did it stop? The dude was
The
insane.
just because we're talking about his jump clips, the in that where he does the cab 9 off the toes on
Yeah,
Decline Gap, it's like
yeah, the
I would
Lucas,
love to
yeah,
see somebody be able to handle the G forces of that jump going that
insane.
fast and trying to spin cab 9 off the toes without just absolutely dying.
I know, it's crazy, like amazing. And then obviously the double cork and just opens up that whole thing. So like, yeah, you had a guy on like that, and you're like, all right, I gotta, you gotta step your game up again, right? So it was amazing for sure.
Yeah,
And we had a tight bond, like not just JP's snowboarding, but his like personality and everything. Like we just got along, like we're still tight, and it's awesome. He's just a good dude. So
yeah, like those last few years that you were really filming, you spent those with JP. I
yeah,
mean, good times.
amazing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was insane.
I guess the reason why I'm kind of like asking is because the way one of the best snowboard careers out. I mean, also like just a wild ride, you have to put it, like your career, you know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
one of the most like interesting and crazy careers ever, you know what I mean? When you
Hmm.
look at everything, the Nomis and you blowing up and stuff, and to continue it is like the way you just disappeared, almost vanished. Like I every year I was in Whistler, I would just expect to see you in the summer. You've always made everybody from the smallest kid to the new girl at snowboarding. You treat everybody with this, I don't know, you have a gift to make people feel that people feel good, you know what I mean? And it comes off really authentic. So I guess the reason why I was asking about the whole JP at the end, you just kind of disappeared. And I guess I'm asking, like, why did you just walk away from it?
Well, there's lots, or not lots of reasons, but Are we getting there already?
Well, I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, we could skip back if you would like to
No,
talk about
no,
something
that's
else.
cool. Yeah, yeah, we can talk about that for sure.
Oh, I want to go back. No, do you have to? Do you want
No,
to
no,
talk?
I'm just saying, yeah, like even with riding with him, and then like riding with, like, because we did those, it was us three, right? Like JP, Jeremy, or sorry, JP, Joe, and myself. But then it turned into like when we filmed for Cheers, like that
Yeah.
was like us three, and then added Seth and Jeremy, and that crew was like insane.
Yeah, sorry. That is a good chapter that we should.
But so I'm wearing this patch here. It's the unit. So we call ourselves the unit. So it's like there's like 5 Hummer trucks.
Oh my
So
god.
each of us is one of these trucks,
And
right?
it's in yellow.
Yeah, yellow and black. And anyways, JP got a bunch of patches made, and we called ourselves the unit, and we just went to all the spots together, and it was like such a fun freaking like crazy awesome experience, because those guys are just next level, like all of them. And then like Joe filmed that one part and that one year, and it was just insane, you know what I mean? So that was pretty rad. But I just felt like I needed to bring that up because that was like one of my highlights of my career, just because I just filming with those
I'm glad you did.
dudes, you know, where it was pretty next level. It's pretty awesome. And then it was cool because we did the X Games the year after, and it was like it didn't feel like a contest because we just filmed all our stuff together, like in the beginning anyways. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, dude.
Just because like, you know, like it's so competitive, you know, but for that it was like we were the first ones to do that contest, like the real snow or real street or whatever it was. And we just helped each other get shots. Like we were like, who cares? Let's just all like get this thing done, but like do it fun, like together. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, because the last thing you want to do is jump into the X Games and then have the worst headspace ever for 2 months. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? If you can be with a
totally.
group of people, and that group too is like, dude, Seth, Jeremy, JP, and Joe. It's like, let's
Yeah,
be honest. It's like you put out those merits and those stripes that crew has earned. Is like, wow, they know how to get it done too. You know what I mean? It's like
totally.
the level of fun, when there's also this whole other side of a level of like how to actually get shots. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
And
Yeah,
people
yeah.
want people to get clips in that crew. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
we're having
totally.
fun and stuff, but we also want to get up early in the morning and shovel and make sure Jeremy gets his like whatever fast plant off of a roof.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, the first trip, I remember the first trip went to Newfoundland. Jeremy was doing the craziest stuff, like right out the gates. It was nuts. But anyways, yeah, it was pretty awesome. But yeah, you want to dive into the
Dive into it. I love that it's like an elephant in the room.
dive in, yeah.
No, I'm just it's
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, no, we'll jump into it. No, by the end of my career, I just like Nomis, like, because Nomis was, it kind of like, it was during the year of gibberish, it like had like that one new owner kind of like pretty much canned everybody, and I was the only one left. And then
Andre too at this point.
yeah, he was fully gone. And then he just stopped paying me, like the guy that had it. Like I was still fully under contract for like almost another year, and he just stopped paying me mid season, like no money at all. And I'm just like
Shoot him an email like, yo dude, I have
yeah, I even hired a lawyer to go like get money, like, you know, like I paid money to like get my money type of thing, because I wasn't making anything from them. And then I just ended up, he just never paid. Like I just ended up getting like paying more money and not getting any money. So it just didn't work out. And then that was weird, because then I was just like Stepchild and 32 and like kind of Nomis, but not really. I was like, I guess I'm not really riding for them because they're not like paying me anymore or anything. Yeah.
Bills.
And this was the first year I was doing gibberish, like halfway through the year. And then
I did not know this.
yeah, and then Nomis kind of got taken over by like O'Neill Canada, like Leonard Markovich, like the guy that owns O'Neill. So he took it over and was like, I kind of want to restart this thing. Like it's kind of like been through the ringer and like the industry's not doing the best right now, but like I think we still have something here. So do you want to like kind of reboot it a bit and like try this for a couple of years? And I was like, yeah, sure. So then that's when I kind of like I was still riding for like it didn't look like Nomis like went that deep. Like it didn't look like Nomis died, but it actually like was like pretty much done for me for like probably 8 months or 6 months or something like that.
Wow.
So then I re-signed a contract with him. We kind of were like, let's work it out. Let's do like some new designs. And then I did that for, I was like, okay, let's just do 2 years because it got messy and I didn't know like how
Did you
much.
do the Blue Jay jersey? That one
That
was
was,
sick.
yeah, I did that, but that was the year that it kind of died. But yeah, that was tight. Sure.
I liked that
But
one though.
yeah, but you always design those things like a year before they come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, but that came out. That was tight. But yeah, so then I restarted that thing. So then like Gibberish 2, that was like kind of like a new like start to it in a way where I was like stoked again because I was like, okay,
Dope.
this is going to be kind of fun again. Like and then we just went smaller. Like I had like a couple guys in the team, like young AM guys and whatever. And then yeah, so then that went for that year. And then the next year after that was like my last video part that I filmed. I don't know if you saw it. It was like the honor grind type of thing. I just did it like all over Canada with, and I brought Andre back, like, cause I was like, oh, we got to get, cause Andre just started working construction and stuff, but he's like, I kind of want, he's like, he liked working construction, but he's like, I kind of,
He
he's
filmed
still,
it, right?
yeah. So then I
Yeah.
was like, can we hire you for like the winter? Cause he filmed like my X Games thing and he was like always doing camera stuff and everything. So so I hired him back like to do the like kind of the Nomis thing. I was like, let's like get you on filming and then like try to get you back in and we'll like kind of redo this thing like and like try to like get people going, you know, again.
Yeah.
So we were getting Andre back on and he was filming that year. My older brother was like not gonna be a part of it. Maybe later he would have been, but he was doing like some youth program stuff. So we are like, that's cool. Like he was hyped doing that. So but we didn't really ask him yet because it was still pretty like small at that point. Like we were just kind of like trying to rebuild it type of thing. Yeah, and then I did Gibberish 2, and then I had a kid, my son Leo, and then that was awesome, life-changing experience, amazing, like best thing that's ever happened, you know.
Yeah, we can talk about that after because I want.
Yeah, totally. But so then I'm gonna do this new honor grind project, super small, like whatever. And like in the spring of that year, it was like the industry was just not in a good place. Like at that point, I don't know if it is right now, but it was pretty like the sales just weren't going. Like it was just inconsistent winners, like, you know, like it just the guy at the time was like, we're trying, but it's just not like, it's not going to be worth it to keep going. Like we got to put focus on other things. So we're kind of just like, do you want to buy the company office? And I was like, I got no money to do that. Like I'm making my salary, but I got no money to buy the company. I can't like keep it going. And so he's just like, yeah, like we're gonna call it quits type of thing. And that was at the end of the year. And I was just like, well, thanks for trying for 2 years, but I guess I gotta look for new sponsors. So then like that honor grind project was gonna be like a Nomis thing, but it ended up just being like a video part. And I was like, okay, well, at least I got a video part that I can kind of like put out and then maybe like try to get new sponsors.
Totally.
But at that point too, like Stepchild was hurting and they didn't pay me for like a long time.
Dude, what? Snowboard companies think they can get away with this shit. They do.
Yeah. And it's like, and like Stepchild, like that, like they like helped me out like so much in snowboarding, but like at the end, like the last like 5 years or whatever, like it was like the problem with like the small companies in snowboarding is like they like a lot of those shops, like after the 2008 crash and stuff, they'd order all this product, and then the economy goes to shit, and then they can't, like, you know, they're going to go bankrupt, right? So then they got to pay all their bills, but they can't pay all their bills, but they're going to pay the companies that have like the lawyers and like the big companies. So they'll pay like Burton and stuff like that. But then like small companies like Stepchild or whatever, they'll just not pay. So then there's like all these small companies that just get screwed over in the end. You know what I mean? And that happened a lot, like in those
Wow,
like
never.
few years. You just put like chapter 11 and you're like, I'm done, and then you don't pay your bill, and then like you're forking out all these money for these boards that got sent to that shop, and you're not getting anything out of it. You're not getting anything back from it. So that happened with Stepchild quite a bit because they're like the small companies, you know. Sorry. And I was kind of like in a point where I was like making pretty good money, like with all my sponsors combined. And like there's some riders on Stepchild that like, you know, were struggling and stuff. So I was like, you know, like get me later, get me later. I kept kind of saying that. And then it just ended up being like a few years of that. And then
Get me
just,
later, like you can pay me later. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
and who are you saying this to, Sean, or like who's?
No, like because Sean, like he wasn't the money guy. He was more just like the marketing guy. There was like another guy that did like the money stuff, and it wasn't Sean. And Sean pretty much never made that much money off Stepchild either. Like he was like trying and like just kept trying for the team, and like he would never, he barely made any money, and then he just mobbed out because he was over it, you know. and like fair enough, like you know, if you're not getting the support and you're putting all this work in, like what are you going to do, type of thing. But you know, we were all like believers in the brand, but we just weren't like, Stepchild never like hard goods was a hard thing, man. The hard thing to make money off of. Like a snowboard is expensive to make, and then to sell it's expensive. But like a shirt is cheap to make, but to sell you make more money off of it, you know what I
Totally.
mean? So like
Totally.
soft goods, like
Margins are way better.
yeah, so like it was just tough. And then if you're like selling all these expensive boards and then you don't get any money back, it's just like it's tough, right? So anyways, so not to be like, I don't want to be down or like too down on this podcast, but
No, dude, I think people are really curious. Like,
yeah,
the
so
Nomis thing and the Stepchild thing is like, let's be honest, both of those
yeah.
had everything in the world going for them, and it's
Mhm.
interesting to know why both of them. I don't know if I'm assuming Stepchild's done, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think so.
I mean, I don't know anyone who rides.
Yeah. So I, at the end, dude, I just didn't have any sponsors, man. I didn't have any money coming in. Like I couldn't make it work. And I had like a child that was you know, like I had a mortgage. I had like a 1-year-old at home. And I was just like, hey, well, I got this video part. Like maybe I can get new sponsors. And I tried. I, you know, hit up companies, and they're all just in the same boat. Like you're riding, like thanks and stuff, but we just can't give you any support. And you know, like you need money to ride, you know. And then I was like, I felt like with all this money that was owed to me, and like money that was like lost, that like stopped getting paid, and like all that like accumulated to like quite a bit. And I'm like, I've put my family through a lot of this like stress, like my wife, and like, you know, I got a kid now who's 1. Like I don't want to, like I got to just walk away. Like I felt like that, you know, like I just couldn't like keep it going. Like it was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Like, but I was just, yeah, I just had to do something different, which
Like, did you like talk to like some of your mentors? I'm assuming like Jeremy and JP, and what were they like?
yeah,
Yeah, maybe that's the best call.
totally. I called, like I remember calling Dave Downing, like because I was like, that dude, you know, like he talks to a lot of, you know, like he's just one of those father type dudes, and he's just like, well, you if you love snowboarding, like if that's your passion, like stay in it. And like, and it was like, it totally was. But at that point I was like, okay, well, I've like done the snowboard career, I've done like the company thing, I've done like all these things, and I just couldn't see myself like sitting in an office and like trying to make it work. Like I was like, I still feel like I can film video parts, things like that, but that wasn't like in the cards for me because no one would support me to do that anymore. So I was just like, maybe it's just time to like flip my script and like do something completely different. You know what I mean? So I just fully walked away and started doing something different.
Yeah, because you did that like quick too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It seemed like
Well,
you were.
it happened overnight. Like to be completely honest, like all those things happened in like the spring, and I was never like big spender kind of thing, and I had like some money saved, and I was like, okay, this is gonna get me like half a year, and then I'm on like nothing, so I gotta like figure something out. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was tough, dude.
Did you get that? So all that money that Stepchild owes you, Nomis, like,
Yeah.
did you end up getting those chunks of money that I'm imagining at some points, you know, you're telling your wife, your partner, because I mean, let's be honest, I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 7 years. Money is a thing that you talk about. It's like, you know,
Yeah,
you
for
need to know
sure.
when it's coming in and when it's coming out, etc. And, you
Yeah.
know, if you're saying for 6 months that this $20,000 is going to come in or 30 or whatever, and it
Yeah.
doesn't come in, then it's a year and she's like, hey, where's like, we need that for this and this. Like,
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
only imagine how much stress that would put or added stress to a relationship that, you know, any relationship, you're already working for it 24/7.
Yeah.
If you want to make a relationship work, you have to put work into it. And then it's something
Totally.
beautiful. So I'm imagining that. Did that
Yeah.
money ever come in though, or no?
Never. Never,
Wow.
dude. Yeah.
What a
Yeah, it,
slap in the face for
it
somebody
was
who
hard, dude.
literally made
Yeah.
the only reason Nomis was anything was for sure Andre and Matt's hard work and stuff, and
Yeah.
Rusty who and McDonald's came up with the logo, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
is because of who you were. And the only reason why Stepchild got to where it is, which I mean, some people might get offended by this, maybe not, but like Stepchild wouldn't have been anything at that in that beginning era, like when you made it happen, like you really helped push it onto the map, being one of the most like hype AMs out. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
But
it's like for those companies to not follow through at the end of the day with at least like a pat on the back, it just pisses me off a lot.
well, it was yeah, I mean, yeah, it was tough, dude, but yeah. Yeah, it was hard. It was like a pretty hard, like a sour ending, but I don't know. I don't fully like agree that with you that like I was the only reason why I stepchild like
Not the only, but it was
no,
like
I know, yeah.
a pivotal point in
Yeah.
Stepchild's success is when
Yeah.
for promo copy and Derelictica and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you really
Yeah.
helped the ball. I mean, of course, people like E-Man and Brockles edits and stuff like that added
Yeah.
a lot of hype and
Yeah.
Joe and everybody, you know, it was a
Yeah.
group effort, but like in that beginning phase to get people like Sexton and even JP, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And it was hard, man. Like I even think like yeah, it was just I think I went like fully depressed mode for a couple of years. Like I was like like snowboarding was all I knew. Like, and
Oh,
then it was over
only
overnight.
imagine.
And I just was like, I don't know, like I just didn't know how to react. I was like, I don't know what like I fully remember like bawling and like in my kitchen just being like, I don't know what's next. Like I'm I don't know. It was hard, man. But like it in hindsight now, like maybe it was like a good time in the like I don't know, like I don't see like snowboarding as the same way as it was when I was doing it. Like there's not as much like video parts going on anymore, and like that type of like I lived for that, and like that's different. And I've I kind of came out of it where I'm like still healthy. I can like, you know, do
Totally.
everything still. And then I got to learn a new trade, and if that never happened, I probably wouldn't have done all that. You know what I mean? So in a way, it's like it was really hard at the time, but it got me through to what I got like going today type of thing. So it's all good.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No,
yeah,
I liked or earlier you mentioned something along the lines of that you tend to bottle stuff up a little bit.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
feel like a lot of that stuff that you bottled up at the end of your career, like not getting paid, etc., and
Yeah.
then you making that call, like, okay, the best decision that I can make right now for not only myself but for my family is to move on to this next chapter. Did you feel like those emotions just like, did you talk to somebody? Like, I feel like, did you?
Yeah, I mean, probably still struggle with it today. Like, I just feel like it's like, like I'm still working on that, like, like with myself, because like that was just such a big part of my life, and I don't even know. Like, I still feel like I'm dealing with it. You know what I mean? In a way,
Yeah,
because
to
like,
100. Well, I mean,
yeah,
you are snowboarding to your core, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
for
I think
sure.
that it's a big part of what has brought you so much joy in your life, and
Yeah,
then that gets removed. And that's the painful thing about snowboarding, especially when you devote your whole life to it. It's not like anything else where you devote your whole life to it and then you can keep doing it forever and you get better at it. And the longer you do it, the more you get paid and the more opportunities that present itself. It's like snowboarding is like you devote your life to it. And at one point, it's just like, no.
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
you're like, not to compare apples to oranges, everybody deals with things differently, but Rusty, a really close friend of mine, films, I would say, some of his best footage. Um, I think that the days of older pros not being able to keep up is kind of a thing of the past. I think brands are realizing now that, and not even brands, I think that humans are realizing that you are beyond capable in your 30s to film your best stuff ever. Like
totally. Yeah,
Jeremy and Seth and stuff
JP,
like that, and
JP,
JP,
yeah,
it's like you know how to produce that content now. You know how to build those jumps. You know what tricks you're
for
capable
sure.
of. And I feel like Rusty had that whole package deal figured out, and it was like phone calls from everybody, just like, you're done, zero, like
Yeah.
contracts are all, and he's just like, what? Like, and I mean,
Mhm.
he hasn't expressed, um, and I haven't, maybe as a closer friend, I should reach out to him a little bit more of this, but I can only imagine how that must have felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially when your close friends, Joe, and, uh, they're still doing it. Some of them, you're like,
yeah.
I should be out there with those guys.
Yeah. Well, I remember that same year, like I think Jeremy got dropped by Burton too. So there was like a few guys, like big names getting dropped that year. And I was just like, something's happening in the industry. And I don't know if like maybe it's just a weird year, like a couple years. So maybe I'll just go do something different and like I don't know. I just didn't know like how to react.
Did you think that you were going to maybe come back,
I
or were you
just
like, this is an exit?
I don't know, like to be honest, like my whole like snowboarding, like I always thought that I would be able to like pick the time when I wanted to retire. Like I was only like I didn't think that it would just end because it wasn't me that ended it. Like like I wouldn't have stopped, but I had to. You know what I mean?
No, I know
So
exactly what you mean.
so I yeah, like I would have kept going for sure, but I don't know. Yeah, like I don't I didn't know how I thought, and then like I was like maybe like after a couple years I'll like come back to it. Like I was totally thinking that, but then I just kind of just kept going. Just did,
Life just kept happening.
yeah, totally. And like yeah, life's good now, but those couple years were like pretty rough. Just learning something new, like being pretty you're pretty successful snowboarding in like some industry that you're getting like that level of like respect and just being that like
It's your identity.
yeah, and you're like on a high level and all that stuff. And then suddenly I was doing carpentry, and then I was just like $17 an hour, just like banging nails, and like dudes yelling at me and like stuff like that. It was a rough go. So but I knew, I was like, okay, well, I'm doing this. I get to see my kid every day, like money's coming in every 2 weeks. Hey, that's cool. you know
Yeah, better than Stepchild and
like,
Nomis
yeah,
band.
yeah. And then I was just like, all right, like maybe this is it. And then I was like, I'm just gonna like ride this out and learn this stuff. And I know that like it'll be hard for a few years, but I know after like 4 years of it or whatever, I'm gonna know what I'm doing. And if I do the schooling, I ended up going to carpentry school. I did all the whole like red seal program, got my red seal, and I just climbed that ladder from like nothing to where I am at today. So it was pretty heavy.
If
But
you look back at when you called it, do you feel like if you could go back, you would have, maybe done a pro bono year and, rode for a brand for free and like, maybe filmed a part? Or are you happy that you're like, you know what, I pulled the plug and I'm happy with that? Or do you wish you kind of
well,
trying to make a go at it?
yeah, like I probably would have done that if it was possible, but I just didn't have any, like, there's no funding to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and you kind of freak out when you got a kid and he's in diapers and you're like, hey, I got not only like to take care of myself and this kid and my wife and stuff, but also to film a video part and not have, anything coming in. It just seemed impossible
You
at
put your
that.
big boy pants on and had to make a call. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
pretty
And
much.
and
Yeah.
and either one could have been wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's say you pick snowboarding and you do it for
Hmm.
another year and 2016 comes around and you hit your head or
Yeah.
something stupid and this
Yeah.
life isn't even what is right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead, you're going to Mount Washington with your kid and shredding and
Totally.
and you
Yeah.
moved your way up the ladder and you're red seal and you're like, you know what? This ain't that bad.
Yeah, for sure. But like, and when I do look back, like I got to film that one video part, which I'm kind of hyped on. I did it all like with my brother and like a couple friends, like we pull it off. And then I like had that, my last thing I filmed was that 450 in Whistler on that ledge.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that
And
hinder clip is insane,
and
dude.
that was like
I've
something
hit that before.
yeah, and that was something I wanted to do on that for a long time, and it just never lined up. And then that year
I
it
can't
lined up.
believe you did that, for the record, because
Yeah,
that's just
yeah.
asking for your toe. Oh, that's asking for death.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just always wanted
Oh,
to
I
do it.
forgot about that clip. That thing is
And then
insane.
but that's the last thing I filmed ever. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, that's like pretty rad because I've been wanting to do it forever. And then it just lined up and I was like, all right, I got that 450. And then I was like, well, maybe that's like my last clip I'm gonna film. I don't know. Like, like that was kind of cool. That was my last clip I had filmed, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how to say it, but it was like the one thing that was hard, I guess. Like a lot of people, I just did disappear. I didn't say anything, and I think my headspace was just like I don't know how to react, so I just bottled it up, like I said before, and just left. And maybe I should have said something, but I didn't at that time. I just didn't. I was kind of like, I guess, just bummed out, so I just didn't say anything. So I feel like doing this is like almost like a closure in a way where I can actually like feel like, you know what I mean? Like I kind of can move on a little bit from it and just enjoy shredding and the talk of it and whatever. So
Yeah. I mean, it's a, I don't want to like jinx myself because I'm still snowboarding right now.
yeah.
But my career is totally opposite of yours. Yours is the massive spike with the Ken Block. Mine is like mine's like buying a stock that goes up 1% a year.
Dude,
But
I say this all the time though. You're living it. If you're still doing it, like respect. You know what I mean? Like if you can get sponsors and you're doing it, like
I don't
it's
have
all
the
good.
kid though. See, that's a big thing for me is like
Yeah.
if you threw the kid in the mix, I'm not. I feel like I'm a pretty rational person, pretty logical when it comes. I'd probably have to make next year comes, one of these
Yeah. It's
sponsors
tough.
that pays me like, a bit of money, which I mean, is not, I mean, I've never made crazy money or I've never even made good money from snowboarding, but,
Yeah.
but like I've always just worked in the summer, but you throw a kid in the mix, I'm living in a 1 bedroom in Victoria right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I snowboard and I make enough that I can snowboard all winter and I paint and have a podcast, you know what I mean? And I love
Mhm.
doing all this stuff, but if you throw a kid into the mix, there's a certain amount of like okay, like this is a new chat. There's somebody relying on me, and if I don't feed this thing and
Yeah.
make money, like I have to help this thing. Like
Totally. Yeah.
it can't just help itself.
It's different. Yeah, for sure. But it's all good. It's just life, man. You just gotta.
I feel like it's such a big learning thing for you, though. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a big hurdle to tackle, and I would
Yeah.
not want to be in your shoes. And you know what I mean? Like if it sounds like you're still kind of like tackling this, which I can only imagine would not be an easy thing to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're going to be on the other side one day and be like, wow, I did that. And that's an insane, like you can't, but the one thing is you'll never be able to look back on your life and be disappointed. You know what I mean? You did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
So which
Yeah.
is,
When I look back, I tell it to everyone, like, I'm like, dude, I had 12 years of a pro snowboarded career, and like that's pretty
that's the
awesome.
dream already.
And I in my 20s I lived the dream, man. And like all those relationships that I made, and like all the, you know, the fun trips that I did, like all the tricks, like all that. So I look back on it and I'm like, I see it as all like positive, you know, like to this day, like still tight with Johnson, still tight with JP, like bunch of those guys. And like I wouldn't, you know, like all that stuff that happened is, you know, unfortunate, but at the same time it's shaped like my life to what it is today. It's just when those things happen, it's hard, right? So
yeah, totally. And I feel like talking about it's the best thing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
and that's something that I need to work on, because I just didn't talk about it. I just kind of like it's funny. I worked with a guy I was building a house with a dude for like, or building houses with a dude for like a whole summer, and he was wearing Nomis swim trunks. And I didn't have the heart to tell him. Like I don't even know if he knew like that I came up with that company, but I was just like, I can't tell this guy that that was my company. You know what I mean? Like I'm the lowest guy on the block, like the apprentice dude, like screwing everything up, and this dude's wearing like Nomis trunks in my face. Like it was tough, dude. It wasn't
that's dude.
yeah,
Yes.
it was yeah. And then I see it still, like a lot of plumbers for some reason have the Nomis hoodie, you know. So I still see dudes like rocking, and on Mount Washington I see a bunch of Nomis stuff still. It's pretty funny, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's a tough one, dude, because you just, you know, you have this thing and it's, oh yeah, it's all successful, and you're 20 years old with all your brothers and you're snowboarding, and then, you know, 10 years goes by and all of you guys get screwed from it, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I didn't see that coming. And then the side company that's supposed to take care of you too doesn't take care of you either, and you're just like, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and the only thing you can do from that is just be like, move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
no,
for sure.
no sense dwelling on it, which it sounds like that's exactly how you've moved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
and I remember reading this thing with like Kobe Bryant, and he was like, when he retired from basketball, and he was like, when you're done with something, you got to kind of like find a passion with something else, you know, like to move on, like to like try something new and like just figure it out, or stay in that type of thing. But so that's what I
found, that new passion.
Yeah, like fully, like I started building houses, and like I was saying I was kind of depressed in the snowboard thing, but I was actually like, oh, this is kind of like reminding me of like snowboarding in a way, because it's like you're building all this stuff from nothing, and like nothing's there, and then you build this structure and the house is there in like a month. You know what I mean? And you're like, I just did that all, like, you know what I mean? It's pretty amazing. And I just ended up just really liking it, and did the whole like schooling thing. And then Andre's been doing construction for a long time. He moved to the island, and then we just started a company together. So now we got a construction company. We like just got our builder's license, so now we can fully build houses like from ground up for people, which is pretty rad, and it's pretty awesome. So we're like,
amazing. I feel like, and now you can take all your experience that you have from Nomis, that when this thing blows up, you'll just be like, no, we're chilling.
Yeah. We're not blowing up. Like we're like a 2-man show. Like we're taking like things slow. Like, oh yeah, we like just deny work when people are like, oh yeah, like, can you do this? We're like, dude, we got too much on our plate right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're not
Yeah.
like, if it was the Nomis days, we'd be like, oh yeah, bring it on, like bring everything on. But not right now. We're just like, we're having fun with it, you know, like we'll take a long lunch, like take a day off here and there, or whatever. Like we're
Living life.
yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. So we're doing that, and we're stoked. So it's fun.
That's what I want to hear, man.
Yeah,
As
man.
long as you're happy and good, dude. Because
Yeah. And this year I snowboarded more than I have in the last few years. So that's been awesome because my kid,
you do a nose press back 180.
I did do it. I think every time I went out, I did a 180 switch nose press back 180 on the box.
Yes, off the toes a little.
Oh yeah, and I
Yeah,
even did.
dog.
I even like called Johnson the one day, and I was like, "Dude, I did a front 5 nose grab on the jump, on the jump in the park." But my first one, I missed the grab so bad. I was just fully like hand in the air, no board. You know, I was just like, "Wow."
Better than doing
like
out in the
missed it.
backcountry with Johnson filming you and saying like, "Oh, it doesn't work. You missed your grab."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, anyway, so this year, because Leo, my son, is like, he's kind of, before he was all about just the hot chocolate and the bunny hill and like kind of just not into it. But this year he's like, I was like, I think you're ready for the chairlift. Let's take you up this one time. And then once he went up the chairlift, he was like on. So he's doing like big boy runs. He's only 7 and he's like cruising all the runs and stuff. It's pretty rad.
That's
So
amazing.
so yeah, we do like, we were doing one night a week, night shred, and then yeah, but yeah, my kid's super into skating right now, so we hit the skate. I've the last few years I've been skateboarding more than I've ever had in my life. Like it's every weekend, like 4 hours sessions on Saturday, Sunday, like full skate park. It's pretty
Sick.
awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
Are you better at skating than ever right now?
No, I'd say I'm just like comfortable like cruising around, but I'm like, a lot of like my tech stuff's not the same.
No, dude, tech's gone.
Yeah, so I'm
Slow
cruising.
guy.
Yeah, I still got a tray bomb, but that's like whatever, you know.
Oh, that's sick,
Yeah,
dude.
that's cool. Yeah, but other than that, I'm not like, I was probably better.
Especially with the bomb thrown in after, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I still got to show like some of the dads I still got something. You know what I mean?
Show up with your kid. Everybody else shows up with their kid, but they don't even know how to skate. You show up and do a tray bomb. You're like, they're like, damn, I should get my deck.
Yeah, for sure. I've been getting some of the dads back into it. It's been pretty fun, so it's good. And then we've been doing like skate nights and stuff. So we've been skating a bunch. It's been fun. So,
cool, dude.
Yeah.
Well, whenever COVID or whatever,
oh yeah,
and everything dissipates a little bit, then I'm on the island, so we can like hang out now and stuff.
totally. Yeah.
Like sit on the side of like the ocean and just look at it. That's what I like doing these days.
Yeah, man, I do that all the time. I'm pretty close, like a 5-minute drive to the ocean. We go to the beach all the time. It's awesome. But yeah, I wanted to go to Whistler this year and shred, but the whole COVID thing kind of screwed it up.
It is a weird, yeah.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah, and let us know, because then we can film.
I'm down. I'd be down to hit like a backcountry jump or something like that,
dude,
or a cliff or something like that.
Dude, I would be juiced to come and yes.
But I don't know.
I want the front 3 or the front 7 off the nose, or just an ollie, or you got the hall pass to do anything. You know what I mean?
Switchback 5 was my go-to.
You had a really good one in what's that? I don't remember the part name, but you have a really good switchback 5. I think Stale off of a cornice. I forget the video, but it's really sick.
Sweet. Yeah. I think every year I kind of got one of those in my part.
You open the front 7 nose grab off the toes with the switchback 5 too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And that line.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I know that part. That's like the part I can name
That's
I
funny.
can name your gloves and your
no.
I watched that part like a billion times.
Okay, what kind of shirt was that? Was that yellow and navy blue striped one?
The Maddox, I'm assuming. I don't know, because I went and bought the polo one with the white collar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the brand, but I bought a rip-off version of that. I went to Value Village.
Yeah.
I bought like the exact.
That was Eddie Bauer.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, that's sick. Because mine was just like a shitty thrift store one, and I was trying to. I thought it was Maddox all forever. I don't know why.
Yeah, so Fraser and I used to go to
That
Eddie
was
Bauer, in Whistler all the time because they had the XL tall, and that was like the only company that had the XL tall shirts. So we'd go there and just load up on rugby shirts, and that was, yeah, man, that was
that
Eddie
rugby
Bauer.
look was hot, dude.
Mm-hmm.
All right, boss.
Well, thanks for having me. I don't know if you want to keep going or what's your stats?
Yeah, I got a few more questions.
Okay, cool.
Just the way I kind of finalize it, but
Keep it going.
yeah. First and foremost, thank you so much for coming on, dude. Huge.
No, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the kind words, dude.
I think that, yeah, you need to, one thing that you can do or should know is that, yeah, I've been snowboarding a lot for the last 5 years, and the amount that your name comes up with tricks and stuff, the impact that you've had on the entire snowboard community as a whole is something that you can hold your head high forever, because you literally helped shape snowboarding, and not a lot of snowboarders get to say that, but snowboarding, a piece of snowboarding, like snowboarding in its entirety, has been shaped because of you and what you've done. So
Wow,
I think everybody just thanks you, dude. You're one of the nicest dudes ever, and I think that we're just grateful that you graced us with your presence when you were doing it, man, because you're with the greats, dude. So
thanks, man.
Your jersey's in the rafters.
Yeah, that means a lot, man. That means a lot. Thank you. That's sweet.
Yeah. All I want is for like my part in a few years to be like a 10th as good as the promo.
Oh, come on.
I want to film a part one day that some kids like, I've watched that 1,000 times.
Oh,
and I'm
for
still
sure.
trying to do that.
Yeah, that's good, man. Keep it going if you can,
Yeah.
And you're grinding. You're doing good out there.
I'm grinding, dude.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm trying, man. I'm stunting, but I didn't get to ride any steel this year, but I'll try. But all right. So 4 questions that I ask every guest. Number 1, a snowboarder that's a little bit more current that you're into, captivated, like their style, what they're doing.
Probably Jed Anderson.
Sick.
Like, for sure. Like, I don't know. I'm just always been a big fan, and his like street stuff is insane. I mean, he was always good at everything, but just his stuff is insane still,
Oh, dude,
and
he's best.
Yeah, it's actually funny that Ride actually sent me a whole setup this year, which is sick. Yeah, like fully random. Like I was talking to my buddy Fraser, and I'm like, oh man, because I was still riding a Stepchild board till this year, and all my stuff was like thrashed. I'm just like riding like my 32 boots were like 10 years old, like same boots I wore at the X Games, like all this stuff. And Fraser's like, yo man, like say no more. And then I guess he knew some dudes that ride, and then one day I just showed up and there was like a full setup, and it was Jed Anderson's board and bindings, and I was like, whoa, that's cool. Like I didn't even know that it was coming. And then 32, like he told Dixon at 32, he sent me a pair of boots, which is rad. And so I got fully hooked up again, which is kind of cool.
Dude, let me know if you need anything. I will get you stuff. I will pay you personally to make sure that you have fresh stuff, dude. Any day of the week.
I'm good. I'm down for like, now it's like, it's funny. I'll like go buy like a skater's shoe that I like now, and like I like to like pay it forward, like I bought like a skateboard today, like I needed a new board, so I bought like a pro that I liked, like I just like to do that stuff, so that's it's all sick, good, dude. Yeah,
I like that plug a lot, dude.
Yeah, for sure. You get it.
Because we're on the topic of Jed, we didn't touch base on this enough. I feel like maybe a quick, how did that first team, Jed Anderson, Laurie, and Sollers, get picked to ride for Nomis initially? Because I had that poster. I mean, like that to me was like the first team on Nomis.
Yeah.
At least was marketed. Did you handpick those riders?
I like, because I was riding with Laurie quite a bit in promo copy, and then so we had like a good vibe going on. We were like pretty good friends and stuff, and he was always like he thought all the Nomis stuff was really cool. And I was like, dude, you can ride for us, like whatever. So he actually rode for us until he couldn't. I think Forum was like, we want you head to toe or whatever, but he had like a signature model, like all that stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
that,
I had the hoodie.
yeah, so that was tight. And then Jed was like on Forum too. And I can't remember where I met him. Like, I mean, I obviously saw his footage but a lot of it was like Andre picked a lot of the team guys with me. Like we kind of he got a lot of like the tapes and stuff, and we just went through them. We're like, yeah, let's do that guy. Let's get that guy on. So Jed, yeah, we just all thought he was rad, and same with Solers too. Like we just all watched his, like, I think he was good friends with, was it Phil Thomas?
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah.
And he like showed us some of his footage, and we're like, we gotta get that dude on because he's insane. So yeah, Jed, yeah, all those guys, like, I'm so stoked on all those guys are just killing it now. It's like it's just amazing to watch, you know. So
yeah, dude, Mark's just full grandfather mode out in the backcountry, just
yeah,
cruising deep pow laps with Mikey. It's so sick, dude.
still doing it, yeah,
Still sending it, dude, for sure.
yeah,
Same with Jed. Jed took like a
yeah.
he
He had
and
like
a half, 2 years off, just
yeah,
kind of burnt. I mean, I feel like a lot of snowboarders these days are pretty open about like, you know, snowboarding and mental health and that type of stuff. It's an exhausting sport, especially for like relationships and stuff. And I feel like a lot of snowboarders, for whatever reason, tend to do the whole like bottle up and deal with this shit later.
yeah, for
I don't know if
sure.
that's just how we are, but yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah,
I feel like I even do that a little bit, and it's not. It's if you do that, talk to somebody because it's not the best.
yeah, totally.
It's probably not the best approach.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you got so much pressure, right? You got to like get it all done in a certain time, and yeah, it's
Okay,
not.
that's another question. A quick one before we get to the second question here. Did
Yeah.
you ever feel that there was like a lot of pressure on you to a point where you actually were like kind of having like an anxiety attack, kind of like, whoa, this is fucking crazy, and I like don't feel worthy to be here, or just like, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of big time pro athletes at one point just kind of get that pressure vibe.
Yeah, I think it was like the second year after promo copy, I was filming Derelictica, and it was kind of like it was hard because that year I had a lot of sponsors wanting me like to do things like the whole year, but I couldn't focus on just like filming a part the whole time. And then but I mean, I did the DC Mountain Lab video, like because they wanted me there like to do that for a bit, and then I went on a sweet trip. I went to Korea with like Devin Walsh and Travis Parker. And that was like insane. But like at the same time, you're like, I'm not filming right now, but I'm having like a blast, you know, like with these two dudes. Like I actually hit a rail in Korea with Devin Walsh. Like whoever gets to say that, you know what I mean? Like, and then like, I don't know, we just did the funny, like we rode park all day. Like it was like a snowboarder story. It was rad. But like, and Travis Parker like loved his snowboarding, you know, like it was just a good like tight crew. But anyways, that year it was just like I was getting pulled around everywhere, but then I had to film this video part and I just couldn't like get in a groove, you know? And it was like the coming off of my promo copy one. So I was like, I wanted to like step it up. And I think I got like one of my favorite tricks I've ever gotten was that like hardway 270 on that June rail.
Cheese
like,
grater.
Yeah, like that one. I got that early in the
photos
season. Yeah, I got that early in the
That's your ender.
season. Yeah. And I was like, sweet, I could have a sick part if I end it with that, you know what I mean? And then I just wasn't like flowing. And then I got hurt like in the spring, like right after getting that pipe shot. I was hitting the jumps with Larry and I like blew my MCL, and my season was done. So, but Mountain Lab kind of saved me because I went there. I filmed that part in 2 days. And then, yeah,
dude,
and then,
that kit was so sick. That baggy DC, and then like the dragon goggles, dude.
oh yeah,
That kit is so fresh, dude. Mountain Lab footage was so fun.
Yeah, it was sick. That was like, and now that too, like I filmed with, it was Pierre Wickberg who did the robot food videos, and that was just like a cool experience as well. So like at the end, it's like I looked back on that and I was like, oh well, my actual year was like pretty sick because I had like a little part in Derelictica. I had I did pretty good contests, and then I had my part in DC Mountain Lab. But I felt like that year, I felt like I had a lot of pressure just because I was like getting pulled around. But other than that, I felt like I had like pretty good. Like Johnson always like taught me pretty well with like just how to deal with, like it's okay if you go on a trip and you get 2 shots. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, don't beat yourself up if you only get 1 shot or 2 shots. If they're 2 good shots, it's better than like 5 crappy shots or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like that type of thing. And just learning that. I was super young. I think Daryl Litzka was only like 19 or 18 or something like that. So
That's a great piece of advice too.
yeah.
Bells will always, that's the mentor who's always told me that you can't get quality without quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because a lot of times you go out there and you don't get any clips, and Matt's like, just, or Aaron Leyland, our filmer, always goes, trust the process. Like,
Yeah.
just as long as you're not hurt and you have the ability to snowboard, if you didn't get a clip today, tomorrow's another day. Don't worry about it. Just like if you can avoid getting injured during the season and have a full season, you'll have the time of your life. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
And knowing when to send it and not to send it's another big.
Yeah. JP was like super good at that. Like the most like professional dude about that. Like he'd just be like, if it's worth it, do it. But like if it's like something that you're like second guessing and you're not like whatever, just fall back and do something that's worth like, getting a good clip on. And he was always like that. It was strong advice for sure.
Yeah, I mean, learning from JP, the wizard.
Yeah, dude.
All right, number 2, back onto the question board here. It's pretty easy to get sidetracked with all your.
Sorry, Matt. Sorry, I'm being a talker tonight.
No, I love it, dude. I'm down with the talk.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
I'm down, dude. We can keep sidetracking. All right, number 2, one piece of life advice.
One piece of life advice. I try to stay positive, like no matter what the situation is, obviously. That's kind of, and like, I don't know, my dad, like my dad was always like, don't like do a job that you don't like don't like go to, like, if you're gonna do something and you gotta do it every single day, he's like, it's not worth doing it if you don't like it, you know what I mean? So I always saw my dad when I was a kid like go to work and love what he did every day. And for when I was a kid, I was like, I want to do that. And that's why snowboarding, that's what made me happy when I was younger. And I was like, I'm doing this. And then now what I've found that what I'm doing now is like I love it, so I just tell people that. I'm like, dude, if you're going to do a job and you hate it, like get out of it and figure out what you like to do and do that.
Amazing, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, what do you think you'll be doing in the future?
Well, I'm hoping to keep doing what I'm doing, but being able to take some more time off in the winter and be able to snowboard more.
Yes, me too.
You know what I mean?
I want to see you back on the gram, and I want to see you board. People just want to see you do anything, dude. You've been gone off the gram for so long that if you just posted you doing a 50-50, the world would be like so hyped.
All right. Well, we'll see. Okay. Maybe next year.
Dude, I'm filming with you. I'm coming.
All right.
My Bitcoin money's coming too.
Yeah, nice.
Did we answer that one? What you'll be doing in the future?
Yeah, I said I'm gonna try to snowboard more. Like take.
Oh yeah, that's a good answer.
In the winter. Yeah.
Good question. All right. That was just short, like in comparison to our.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean.
Oh, that's good.
I like. Yeah, like whatever.
All right.
Got to keep being the best dad I can be. I don't know.
All right. Number 4. What was your biggest takeaway from your years as a professional snowboarder?
Biggest takeaway. I don't know, man. It's so hard because I feel like every year was like so different, and I learned so much every year, but I don't even know, man. I just took it all in, I guess. Like I I felt like I lived pretty good in the moment. Like I just try to take every year and just be positive through it and try my best, and like there's definitely times during the year where I was like, there's those tricks that got away,
Oh yeah.
and
You can see a timeline of the tricks that got
dude,
away.
and I still remember some of those, and I'm like, man, like if I would have gotten that,
Game
but
changers.
yeah, but you can't really do that. But anyways, I don't know what my answer would be for that one, but
Cool.
yeah, all I wanted to do was like be a good example to kids, like, and just be like a positive influence, I guess. And that was kind of like my thing, like have a good time snowboarding and like be positive, and the people I meet, like I hope that I was like in a good character for, like, like I was just a good person. And
Consider it done, dude.
yeah, that's kind of what my goal was.
You've gone through life being somebody, I would say like top 3 people I've ever met in my life as far as like a genuine human it doesn't come off fake. It is like your parents did a damn good job.
Thanks. Yeah.
An amazing individual. I got a bonus question for you just because the conversation's going good right here.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for the next generation of snowboarders? Maybe someone who doesn't even want to be a pro, but just somebody who's going to probably pursue this enjoyment that we've both had. So any advice for just snowboarders that are diving into it?
I would just say like just like enjoy it, and like, yeah, like live in the moment, like don't take it for granted, because you never know when it's going to be over, if you're in like a pro career, you know what I mean? But just enjoy, like don't take it too seriously and enjoy yourself, man. Like that's all, like that's what it's about, right? Everyone's just having a good time, and yeah. But I don't know, like in snowboarding nowadays, is there still, like, I know there's still videos like what you're doing and stuff, but like it's pretty different compared to what I was when I was like there's the contest is pretty heavy, right? And then
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely a lot of social media driven. There is a
yeah,
good Vans has really picked up the weight with making, like, they make a movie every year or two and they
yeah,
do it good, and Burton does too, but it's kind of like whatever. And then there's like,
yeah.
like there's a few other things that are happening I mean there's
It's
lots
just,
of video projects now. It seemed like it was taking a little bit of a buzz, and I feel like there was a lot of like online content.
yeah, because
And
it kind of it seemed like it was hard to like to figure out what's coming out. You know what I mean? Like I would always be like, go on the websites and like, I don't even know what's going on right now. Like,
there's a lot of like pro stuff that's coming out.
yeah,
So like, like K2 will make a movie or whatever,
yeah,
Man Boys, and then there's not a lot of AM projects that are coming out that are like
yeah,
really good. You know what I mean? It's either the
yeah,
pros are making, because the AMs aren't making any money. So
yeah, for
it's
sure.
hard to filter through since the internet era started.
Yeah,
There's a really sick crew called the Dust Box in the States,
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like new age, kind of like Videograss meets some other cool stuff.
Hmm.
And then there's a really cool group in Vancouver area called Mountain.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's like the Bruners and stuff like, so there's a few
Yeah,
crews around, but like, yeah, it's just hard to filter through all the stuff that's on the internet that's just like not very good.
yeah, yeah. I hear you. But I thought like this year was cool. Like that natural selection was pretty sweet.
Oh,
And
sorry. Yeah.
that,
Natural
that was
selection was
that was
amazing.
yeah, that was awesome. And then there's definitely stuff like X Games, Real Street, like all that stuff. Like I'll watch, but yeah, to answer that question, it's like I don't like. I feel like it's so different from when my like career was. Like I kind of like felt like I knew the formula and like how to be like, yo, like
Yeah.
just this is how you get out there. Now I'm like, I don't even know, man. Like like post some cool stuff on Instagram and like don't be like a dick to people and like you're good, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think there is a formula. That's the thing anymore.
Yeah,
It's like everybody is just winging it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
In 2 or 3 years, it might be like the most unauthentic thing to like pour yourself out on social media. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Where like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like in 4 years, are people going to care about Instagram? Like it might be one of those things that we thought was going to go forever, but maybe marketing budgets are going to get put more back into,
Film
hopefully
and
once
stuff like
COVID's
that.
done, is like getting people together for a premiere to watch a movie that
Yeah,
doesn't
for
get
sure.
diluted through sharing everything on social media.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
I mean,
just,
I think it's kind of like if you do something like Scott Stevens on social media and like follow his template, you'll do pretty good.
well, you also have to be as good as Scott Stevens.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing is like, it's like when I watch like Day One on his like thing, and you're like, it's fun to watch. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, if you're godly talented like Scott Stevens, you can post
Mhm.
anything and people will want to watch.
Totally.
Did you see his
So
clip the other day of the switchback side 450 nose blunt 270 at Holy Bully?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so sick.
Yeah. I was like, that's cool. That was
That's
awesome.
fresh. Like
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
here I am, like, do I go out and film another lip slide next year? Like, I don't think anybody wants to watch any of that.
Hey, if it's big enough, I'll
Yeah,
watch it for sure.
sick. All right, my man.
Sweet.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for
Um,
having me.
yeah,
Stoked.
I can't thank you enough for everything you've ever done for myself, for
Thanks, man.
snowboarding. More me, selfishly. I mean, really
Yeah.
somebody who shaped my career more than anybody else. So for you to come on the show and just to catch up with you and stuff, means
Yeah.
a lot on a lot of levels. So it's good to see you, my man.
Thanks so much, man. Yeah, thanks for the kind words, and yeah, let's get together soon when we can.
Fucking love it. Love you, buddy. Take care of
All right.
yourself. Take care of the fam. You're the
Love you
man.
too. Yeah, have a good weekend. Peace.